you, and you thought we was going away. Nah, it's Speak Out.
But let me just reverse a bit and say good morning to the listeners of Vibes. Welcome to the program.
If I stay within my setting as a public officer, as the public relations officer, and I stay just within the office space and do not go out to the public, how will we understand what is happening on the ground?
Still delivering.
We've done a lot, not just in terms of the general infrastructure, but homes, support to farmers, support to fishermen, etc. And as time goes by, more support will be given to Carriacou and Petit Matney.
It's Speak Out Unfiltered. Built back, even better to last.
Let us all strive to build a better country by putting aside our petty grievances and move forward with dignity, being proud of working hard and working together.
Anything that we're doing now, it's futuristic thinking. It's not for the now.
Education is the key in a country's development. That's it. If its people are not developed,
Even though go that far, no? Just remember knowledge is power. When you know, you know.
that's it.
It's Speak Out Unfiltered.
We're happy to have you.
On Vibes 101.3 and 106.3 FM every Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Do you feel the vibes going?
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and not the views of this radio station.
And this is just where I say good morning again to you right here on Vibes FM. Welcome to the program Speak Out Unfiltered for today. Thursday, the 12th day of June. How are you doing? Well, I do hope that everything is fine as you're making yourself comfortable so you can participate in the program. And to remind you that the program is interactive, you can always call us, and our telephone numbers to do so 403-0101 and 443-0101. 458-1914. All the numbers are on the screen. If you are on Facebook, good morning to you. And you can see the numbers scrolling on the bottom of your screen. Also on the YouTube, good morning. The numbers are always there. And you on the internet, good morning again. And those of you in the trial and state of Petit Matney, Carriacou, and Grenada, good morning to you. Welcome aboard, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Welcome aboard in your comfort zone, wherever you are. So at this point in time, I'm going to just pause for the calls that go right into the program for today. And let me move over and say good morning to you, Coy. Good morning. What's up? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Kim. Good morning to all the listeners, wherever you are at this time. And it's always a pleasure coming and being part of a conversation. You know, I always like to make the point that when we converse here or discuss here the issues, I really want to appeal to us to do it in a respectful manner. Doesn't mean that we have to be always right. But let's share the ideas and concerns that we have, and let's discuss it, because at the end of the day, whether it goes up or it goes down, this is where we're at. This is where we live, and we are the ones that have to face all the consequences or blessings or whatever we might want to call it. So let's do so respectfully and with balance. I think my operative word in the past couple of days was balance. Let's balance things off. It can't always go on one side. balance things off.
You mentioned the word conversation, and I think it's so important for us to reiterate that word conversation, because this is what dialogue is all about. Conversations. We need to interact. We need to exchange ideas. We need to be able to converse. But sometimes you find it very difficult to do so because of some people's behavior, attitudes. Sometimes you're in a discussion and they feel like you for or against, and you're trying to get at particular people, and that's not the case.
Well, that's why I'm saying respectful. I mean, we all do have, none of us have the same ideas, same opinions, believed or belief system is not always the same. So we have to learn to respect others and say, listen, okay, that's your view, that's your perspective. But I think we need to go past this, because we have been talking about this for a long time, and we are seeing the effects, the negative effects it can have in society, on people personally and collectively. So I really think that we have to make that conscious effort. Yeah, you notice that, and we might find reasons to justify why we behave the way we behave. But let's squarely look at things as they are, try to understand it, and go forward together.
But it's called this kind of element or attitude in people, to see if they could say bad things about people, to demoralize them, to push them back, and to make them feel like they're not part of anything worth the while. Well, why do we get into things like that? Why do you think we create this kind of attitude, and behavior
Negative
pattern?
attitude.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, why do we? Because as I said, we all have different belief systems. I believe certain things, and you don't. I understand certain things, and you don't. So we have to just face this thing and apply balance, both sides. Balance is what I'm saying, and again, we have to see how we can balance our attitudes to kind of seek to understand now. I mean, understand. Is there anything difficult? Is there anything hard to say, okay, I understand your point of view, and move on? You don't have to condemn your attitude, one's attitude or one interpretation, rather. Just let's humanely communicate to each other.
But what's interesting about this, it seems as though sometimes we take a pleasure in propagating rumors. Rumors,
or negative things.
Negative things.
Yeah, I mean, again,
is that
no? Of course not. That can be the order. Should be the order of the day, or we should order our own lives. We would have differences. We would have differences. I mean, if we look at our own selves, our own body, all our fingers are not the same length. Yeah. So there will be differences. I mean, let's accept that now. That the difference that that is irritating me in you. Let's understand that will happen. So we now have to readjust our own attitude to understand. I mean, it doesn't make sense trying to beat a dead horse and say it must be the way I say, it must be the way I think. Let us, balance things off despite whatever.
But what you're saying is true. We need to create that sort of attitude and get away from negativeness and be on the positive side.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that you accept it or that you encourage it, but just that, you have to look up.
And the reason I even talk about that, is because, over the last couple of days, maybe even a week or so, we've been hearing so much things in the air, negative stuff, and sometimes people are making allegations and alleging people do this or that, whatever, without any facts or nothing of the nature. And it's mind-bothering. It's, that we have this kind of attitude in going forward. But somewhere along the line, we need to stop and check, stop and think.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't do it now, I mean, the future is going to be bleak. Because could you imagine us fighting each other? Every person you see on the street is a fight. Every person you pass on the road is a chore.
Yeah.
I mean, what I mean? It is. If we don't address it now and pull back, match the bricks now, What will happen in next 10 years,
Yeah.
5 years?
The kind of society we're gonna have.
Yeah.
Be real chaotic. Anyway.
So I think that is what we want to see.
All right. Okay. Let's continue. You notice lately, you know, over the last week or two, thereabout, you know, this dust that has been in, you know, atmosphere.
Sahara
the
dust.
Sahara dust.
Sahara dust, yes.
And
Is there all now?
it is,
Yeah.
and it's affecting quite a number of persons. You know,
Mhm.
if you have allergies and you know things
Yeah.
of the, you need to.
Respiratory
Yeah.
challenges, it is. But the thing is, Kim, that's since I knew myself grew up in Carriacou, I've always seen the Sahara dust. So it's been there.
It's been there, but it has gotten worse over the last couple of
Right.
years.
So
you know.
what do we do about it now?
Mm.
What do we do? We can't leave the island and go away and say we'll come back when it's gone. We have to stay and deal with it. And how do we deal with it?
That's
That's the million dollar question. And there are a lot of things that we have to address. We never had COVID in Carriacou or Grenada before. It came. How did we deal with it?
mm.
We went through it. You know, so we had to now assess the situation, and this Sahara dust really could affect, not could
Mhm.
affects people with respiratory
Yeah.
challenges,
Mhm.
and what you know.
One of the advice I would give to people, you know, if possible, you know, they could wear mask.
Yes,
You know, to avoid, you know, breathing, you know, this
something wet or damp. I think
Yes.
I heard there's you know, so it traps.
traps the dirt, you know.
Yeah. I think that's
Y- mhm. As much as possible, whether you're outside or you know just hanging around or whatever, you're not seeing it.
Mhm.
The thing about it is that not something that you would see around you like this,
Mhm.
but in a distance, when
Yeah.
you look at, you know, the terrain,
You could
you
see
you
the
see them.
haze.
Yes,
The haze.
it feels like rain is falling, like
Mhm.
they're getting some rain that you're not getting in your community,
Yeah.
and
What is it? Dust that's
it's the dust that's
scattering
yeah.
up there.
Uh-huh.
Why can't we discuss that as a people? See how we could overcome that. Yet for we put that aside. That's a health challenge, a health issue. But no, we wouldn't meet our partner on the street and as we say, we'll talk about that. Boy, how I could get this Sahara dust under control. No, we want to talk about our things.
Well, see,
That's you know, that really doesn't have any
Yeah.
substance or any
Right,
any positive things for us.
and all these things that we have to contend with, you know, lately, you know, even the sargassum and seaweed,
Sargassum, yes. I mean
that's another history again. That's another story.
another thing again. I mean, wow. When I look at Mount Pleasant from where I am on top of the hill there, and I look at what is happening in the sea, it's like a whole new land appeared there.
Mhm.
That is how thick it was.
Yeah.
Like a whole new land. I mean, and I watched that. I could not just believe. But it wasn't so all the time. I grew up in that area per se, and now we're seeing a different kind of situation. And when you go on the beach itself, yes, after a couple of days, you've seen all those weeds and all those things on the shore.
Yeah.
Where you used to go and roll on the sand and play.
You can't do it anymore.
Where you could do it, but you're just rolling on seaweed.
And not even that, the smell too.
Yeah, well, after a couple of days, when it started to dry,
Yeah.
and it's not fully dry, it's not fully wet, it's damp, I would say. Yeah.
And it's affecting people, especially on the shorelines, you know, more than people like far on the inside. But I wonder sometimes how some of these people who are in the residence and on the shoreline there, that how they're dealing with it. Because I drove through the area of Windward recently, and from the time I hit a certain area, I start smelling this thing far from the beach. And when I go down, it was even worse, closer. And people are doing their normal routines. And
what I discovered, because I had this experience with the sargassum when I was on mainland, and the more you stay around it, the less impact it has on you. So the first day, you know, it will be God, you can take it, but as you remain in that day and you're taking it bit by bit, you don't, it's gone away. It's like you can't smell it anymore. You smell it, but I'm just saying the intensity in which it started, it wasn't there. So people have to people are, we have to understand that. So not that it has gone, but it's just that because you're taking in so much, it does not have that
feel effects
yeah,
anymore,
but of course it's in you still,
because I couldn't stick around for long.
well, right, but I'm sure if you do that for 2 or 3 days, when you go back there, you say, "What this place good, boy?" The kind of way.
Because listen to the error that I made. I decided to turn my windows up.
Oh Lord!
And turn on the AC.
You bake yourself inside there.
Well, no, it's not baking, but now we're trying to cool down now. But the blowers and the AC was pulling in and pushing the same air, and that became like I had to bring the windows back down and forget about air conditioning
and face the reality.
The best thing was to get out of the area as soon as possible. That was the only solution, But these are some of the things that's challenges that we have right now, and we have to try to deal with them in some way or the other, because we officially now into the hurricane season.
12 days.
Right. And do you realize lately there's sort of a wind that's been blowing around our area? It's sometimes frightening, I mean, some people are complaining already because we've not been used to this kind of a wind. I don't recall.
Why say we not to use to that way?
We're not. We get a lot of wind, from time to time, gusts and everything like that. Sometimes 25 miles per hour and things like that. But that's once in a while. But this constant blowing of the wind is reminding us of what happened just under a year ago. The anniversary. I mean, we don't like to talk too much about it, but it's real. It's right around the corner of Beryl.
It reminds us. It reminds us of what happened. I know people, and I've heard stories too. Apart from just knowing people, but I've heard stories where people, as soon as the wind started to blow, they start to get in a frenzy because they can recall their experience with Beryl. I mean, So, what can we do? Brace ourselves. Understand the times that we are in, and brace ourselves, do the best we can, protect ourselves, prepare ourselves.
But you've been speaking about preparation. Preparation is key in going forward. Because if we are not prepared, and you tend to find yourself in a situation where you just things
God
get out of control.
Forbid if we do not prepare ourselves this time around, because we know. It's not that we don't know what is likely to happen, but so prepare ourselves, keep ourselves prepared. I mean, the sad thing is, talking about balance again, the sad thing is that while we prepared on one hand, we're defending and recovering on the other hand. So again, we in the middle there. What do we do? Because we know if that happened, this is likely to happen. And we know if so we have to just be consciously thinking about how we can balance this. Yes.
All right, okay. Let me go to us. Joseph mobile lines just a while ago. 4430101 and 4030101 4581914. Caller, you're live. Caller, come in.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
I hope you all had a good night.
Yeah, not bad.
Good. Now, 2 things. The Sahara Desert dust. I'm looking at that coming through the Atlantic Ocean into the Caribbean Sea. Where does it go after?
That's $1 million question. Never thought about that. Where does it go after? Hold on. Where does it go after?
It
disappears. No,
disappears.
It doesn't.
It disappears.
That's a good question. I never even thought about that. Yeah, but caller, you have any suggestions?
Well, I look at it and I see it just below Texas. Okay.
Right.
And not see it entering the mainland of the United States, and not see it going into Mexico. I don't know if something just happening to disappear. I don't know. But every year, and the hotter that area in Africa becomes, is the more dust we get coming across the Atlantic.
Right.
The guys who deal with the weather, I haven't heard they give any explanation as to where the dust go when it reaches in the Gulf of Mexico. But I just ain't seen it again. I need to know. You're not going back to the Sahara Desert and start all over again.
No, I don't think it's going back there now.
Right. Well, you're supposed to end up somewhere, and that way I just not seen and I hearing about that.
Yeah.
The sarcasm now. The sarcasm.
Yeah.
Which part of the ocean that comes from? Because it was not here in the Caribbean, but it appeared.
Well, there's an area right outside the coast of Africa, the Sargasso Sea.
Mhm.
There's a sea, and the Sargasso seaweed comes from that area. But that has only been happening over the last maybe 5 to 10 years. I remember growing up, we never used to have this kind of a thing
Exactly.
there, and the sea existed. So I don't know what has happened in climate change. Maybe something has affected that to drift all the way across the Atlantic into the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this is a weed, right?
Yeah.
Sea moss is a weed. The other grass you see growing in the sea, they are weed.
Right.
The sea moss doesn't drift across the Atlantic, come across the Caribbean.
Okay.
It doesn't do that.
No.
But that one in particular, like it didn't go down Christopher Columbus, like it told the whole world.
Yeah.
And the scientists and them are not hearing them saying anything much about that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it is floating in the water, it is alive. Okay?
Right.
When it comes ashore, it dies.
Uh-huh.
And then it spins.
Okay.
Now, Maki in St. Andrews. You smelling that a long distance before you reach Maki. And surprisingly, the people on the beach there,
Mm-hmm.
they're on the show, attending to the business.
Right.
And they're immune to it already.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
Even in woodlands, from the sugar factory area come down, going out in the bay. That area does the stink. Whole year, every year, that stink. And people living close to it. And I don't understand why that's not affecting them.
Well,
and I just can't enjoy and I can't stand it.
Well, they get used to it after a while, like Holly was even saying earlier on. You sort of get used to the smell after a while. It doesn't affect you that much anymore, and maybe you don't have an alternative. You don't have another place to stay, so you just have to try to deal with it as much as possible. That's
But I wonder if these things have some health issues.
It could have some long-term.
Remember.
It could have some long-term. I heard a discussion, quite a while ago, and they said it could have some long-term effects on people. But long-term, sometimes you're not even able to associate it with what happened. But it's something to be concerned about, though.
If you're home for the whole day, you're smelling that.
Yeah.
You're going to sleep with that in your nose. You're waking up with it in your nose.
The way you say it, them inside, but it's reality. It's a reality.
Yes, a reality.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying on the chat here, and let me just share it with us. No one can stop it. It's the works of the Almighty. We just have to prepare ourselves and stay safe. Now, that's a response. We can't do nothing with it, but let's.
I saw on social media where Barbados imported, how do you call that? Is it a ship? Anyway, it's going out in the water
and trap it.
And right. And like it's sucking it up.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess they're storing that some way to do whatever. I wonder if these things can make fertilizer. They could use that to do something.
Well, it's been talked about, that they could use it to fertilize, and the soils and
I think in
something like that.
I think in St. Lucia they have started
because
that process.
you see what has happened over there. They are doing some studies now to find out the best way to deal with it and to make use of it, because you realize it's going to be around. So you might as well, you can't run from it. So find some way to deal with it. And if you could convert it into fertilizers or something that you could use, then it might become a business in the end, trapping it and and bringing it ashore. You know, you never.
Because it is good for fertilizer, because I remember there are farmers who used to go by the bay, take up the seaweed that was ashore. I ain't talking about the sea moss now, what the real weed.
Yes.
And they throw it in the garden, because why? It is ammonia, the salt in it.
Right.
Okay, and that adds richness to the soil. So I guess maybe what our governments in the region that are affected by it could do. Well, whether you find somebody in the private sector here in the region or somebody outside of the region who could convert these things into fertilizer, it will be good for us.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we will all wake up to that.
Okay.
Anyway, okay.
Caller, thank you so much.
Okay.
Talking about the seaweed, I remember growing up too, that they used to send us on the beach, get the seaweed, and put, when they fork the land and getting it ready for planting, we used to just throw it on the land, you know, as fertilizers. And we used
I know. So there could be some benefits that we can get from it, you know, and I think we have to just continuously look at.
Well, I believe
look at this and assess it, you know.
All the governments are working on it. Vibes FM, caller. Thank you for waiting, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Colleague.
Yes, good morning.
Once again, I hope everyone is well, alive, and kicking. So, I listened to your program this morning before you taking call, and I want to express an idea is imagination developed in the mind, expressing and analyzing situations. Circumstances bring to the fact of our existence. The opinion we gather, we express what is real. And remember, we are unique. We will think differently.
Yeah.
As a man thinketh, so is he. So everybody will have the same opinion on things. But we could give our different opinion and come to a conclusion. So everybody should live together. Where one lacking, we help the other. And then we'll have a better nation. What happening, we cannot stop. Look what happened with COVID-19. A disease that engulfed the whole world, not pattern. That never happened before. With our sargassum seaweed that coming, it didn't used to happen. But when it happened, and we don't know how to deal with it, we have to find a solution. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you.
As the caller just rightly said, you know, that never used to happen before. I mean, all the years that have been around, you know, we've never seen anything of the nature. And look at what is happening now. So, you know, there's changes and things that we need to do to be able to deal with it. Otherwise than that, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, things are changing, and with the climatic conditions, with the whole insurgence of climate change, things are changing. The things that we used to do. Look at, for example, here in Carriacou, Kim, when I pass through Tibo, you when you're going in, when you pass Mount Plain side or you pass about Duba side, you know, if you go in Tibo now, you're seeing those tombs lying, resting on the shore. The shore what is now.
Some of them submerged too. Because they are water has come in, erosion, you know.
So as a matter of fact, I'm saying that to get to the point I really want to make. As somebody we were speaking last evening, and when I said in the next couple years the island might be smaller.
Well, it's been getting smaller, you know. We just not taking.
So we're still saying 13 square miles, or
we're saying it,
or is it 10 now?
We're saying it, but is it real? Is it still 13? Vibes FM caller come in. Caller, you're live now.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
I'm on here.
Yes, you are. Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. I was listening to you all this morning, and I thought you all were very philosophical in what you all were discussing. The discussion was very, very intellectual, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I listen to people sometimes. But they seems to be forgetting the existence of God. And when I say that, I mean, God did warn us in the Bible. I don't know if some of us don't read the Bible or what have you. That in the last days, these things will be happening. Because, I mean, we are reasonable older men now. And for the last not two, but say 5 years, the kind of things we are seeing now, were we seeing it before?
No.
No, we were not seeing it before. So it seems to me that we have to get closer to God when he says that in the last days, these things will be happening. We talk about COVID just now. We talk about the sargassum, the seaweed. Now, we have never seen this happening before. So we have to take stock of what we are saying, of what we are doing in the thing like climate change. Donald Trump says there's nothing like climate change. It's just a hoax. And a lot of us, I'm repeating myself here, a lot of us forgetting the existence of God and what he says. And I think he could take a lot of us, when he's ready to come, to take us home. He will take many of us by surprise, just as the flood. When Noah was building the ark for what, over 100 years or so? I forget now. And people were laughing at him. But when the flood did come, when they were begging him to open the ship for them to come in to save themselves, the door was locked. And that was God's doing, because if he had opened the door, a lot of people probably would have come in and to save themselves. But he did warn them before, and we're not taking heed. You know, we've seen a lot of things happening, and we don't know why it's happening. For example, in COVID time, I said to myself in my own little mind, I said, but you know, so many people worried about COVID, so many people taking so many all kind of injection, all kind of medication. But you not call on God and you say, God, you alone know when this thing is going to go, when we're going to see the end of COVID. Because nobody knows, nobody have the answer for it. And what happened? Did somebody get rid of COVID? Some people saying it's still in the air. Some people saying it's still there, but God sparing us, but he will come back again. We don't know. So I think we must really, seriously put God first in all our thinking, in all our deliberation. Look at Trump going on, for example. Many people say now they're sorry they voted for him. And there's demonstration in all the major cities against him. But what? God is going to deal with Trump. I'm sure sooner or later. As I said it, you know, my daughter always calls me from England and she says, Dad, you remember you said you want Trump to win for God to deal with him? And I did say that. Because Trump friends, or even some of the men that he sacked, says he's an imbecile. Another one says he's a moron. And one of the media people says that he's the stupidest man that ever become president of America. So, friends, I say this to say that let us put God first, because he knows. And those who believe in him, those who obey his commandments, his statutes, and live like any day he will be coming, some of us might be saved. Okay? So
Okay,
that's
good.
my contribution for today. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for your contribution there.
Thank you.
And let me remind our listeners the lines are open 403 403 0101, 403 0101, 443 0101, and 458 1914. 458 1914. Somebody just messaged me and said to me, Kim, you know, it's the last days. I've been hearing this talk about last days since I was basically a teenager.
I don't.
The last
before-
days.
it takes-
And I know people have been hearing it before I was even born.
Yeah.
Of the last days.
Yeah.
We don't know when the last days are going to be here and what it really
Well,
signifies.
based on the information about the last days and where we got information from of last days from the Bible, there are some conditions that would exist that you would know it is in the last days.
Yeah.
Some conditions that would exist.
Right. Yeah.
One of them, as mentioned, is that when parents will be in conflict with their children. Example,
Yeah.
father would this and that and so on, and mother and so on, and child and so. That's one of the reasons given.
There's many more. Hold a second.
Of course, I know.
Vibes FM, caller, come in. Caller, you're on now.
Good morning.
Yes,
good morning.
Yes,
Good morning.
Okay,
Good morning.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the tone that is that you all started this morning with preparation. And I'd like to follow up with the gentleman. I also like what he said. And the Lord said that when you have all that you need, do not forget me. It's in Deuteronomy, I think, Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 11 or 12. It says, when you have all that you need, do not forget me, says the Lord. Right? So I'm agreeing with what the gentleman said. Now, in this is all relevant. In Ezekiel chapter 4, verses 9, the Lord told Ezekiel, and people should write this down because it's important. Take wheat, barley, beans, lentil, millet, and fitchet, and I think that's spelt. I think that's some kind of wheat, right? And the Lord said, put all of that together and make bread with it. And that's what he had to eat for 390 days, the prophet Ezekiel. And his direction was, every now and then you could have meat. And all he had to drink was water. So the Lord told him to put all those grains together and make bread. So I want to ask, do you have any idea why the Lord would choose those those seeds to make bread?
No, I have no idea. Not at all.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it turns out that all of the minerals and vitamins that we need, with all those together, all the minerals and vitamins that we need for our bodies to stay strong and, survive and so forth, is in those beans. And he had to do that for 390 days. That's all he had to eat. And the water to drink, and every now and then he could have meat. Now, he had to do that for 390 days because he was making atonement for the sins of Israel. They for every year that they sin against God, he had to do it. He had to do this for 390 days. So then they sinned for 390 years. So he did it for 390 days to atone, just like how Jesus Christ came into the world and died for us, so that our sins can be forgiven and we could be reconciled to God. Now, this is very important. People should write that down, because there is coming a time that we need to be prepared. There is coming a time when we won't be able to buy or sell anything unless we take a mark. And this is written in Revelation. Now, we can't use cash. We can't use credit card. So if we have to buy or sell, we must take a mark. And that's Satan's mark. And if we take Satan's mark, then we cannot get the seal of God. So if you take the mark, you in essence shutting yourself out of heaven. That's what will happen, because the mark won't be removed. Right? All of this is in Revelation. And so the time is coming. So we need to be prepared. And that's why people are I'm happy that people are urging other people, you need to plant your own stuff. You need to be able to survive without, for example, you won't be able to have electricity because you have to go pay for it. So it's either you go pay for it and lose out on heaven, or you decide to go off the grid and go to heaven, right? So this burial is like a preparation. I still don't have electricity upstairs where I am, and I'm still working without it. Well, that's another story. So I'm just trying to encourage people in the book of Ezekiel. Go to Ezekiel chapter 9 and look at all the beans that the Lord instructed Ezekiel to put together. You could live on that. You can survive on that. He survived on that for over a year. And yes, and the mark of the beast is coming. It's in Revelation. This is serious. People need to pay attention. This is preparation. People can't say they didn't know and they didn't have the time to prepare. The time is drawing near and people need to get prepared. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Koi, you mentioned a lot about preparation.
Yes,
and this is something that we sometimes slide off. Slide past it.
Doesn't matter, man. We seem to assume that it will go the way in which we think and the way in which we like. So we do not put any importance on anything else. That's how nothing will happen, man. Nothing will happen. I mean, and we jokingly say it, but the truth is that we don't have control over a lot of things. I always like to say, sad that we want to control the things that we have. We want to control the things that we don't have control over, and do not control the things that we have control over. I mean, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Right, okay, yeah.
We have control over certain things, but we don't want that. No, we don't want that. We want to go after things that we don't have control over. Yeah. I mean, how sensible is that?
You're fighting a losing battle here.
Well, I mean,
because it is not that easy to do things of the nature.
Of course.
But we sometimes, ignore and go past that, as you just mentioned it, But the preparation, as we're looking at the anniversary of burial coming up, and some people still are in this situation where they are not yet prepared because of the time span, because of circumstances that prevail, that they're not able to bring themselves to that point. But preparation sometimes meaning having, like in case, a sort of an escape plan, plan as to if this were to happen, what's my next move? Hold a second. Vibes FM, landline caller coming.
Well, Brother Kim, good morning. This is Big Time Mr. Pope here, sir.
Hey,
and
good morning.
Brother Coy and whoever else there. I'm not sure. I just started listening and I was hearing this lady there. But my question to you, is this a catechism lesson going on today or what?
We're discussing and the issues, around us, that's
but
it.
I thought that the people would have talked about the hurricane season instead of talking about the Bible say and all kind of thing. I mean, I'm preparing. But anyway.
But caller,
good morning, gentlemen.
Caller, good morning to you.
Yes, sir.
I must come in here. It's not only one type of things we need to talk about, We need to converse with each person about all the issues. So it was not catechism class. It was just a matter of neighbors chatting about
all right. Well, I wrong
these
then.
things.
Thank you for your correction.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, pleasant good morning to everyone. I have nothing more to say at this moment, but I'll go back and listen if possible.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, bye. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye. Let me, before we continue, Kai, 443-0101, 443-0101, 403-0101. Those are the numbers, and you can also call 458-1914. Let me take another caller first before we move forward. Vibes FM, caller, you're on. Caller, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, yes, morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
hey, good morning. What, boy? It's like a girl shake up.
You want to go fast, man?
Take your time.
Well, listen, I girl shake up into to know good morning to all my radio friends. Good morning to you. I hear Uncle Leo yet, but Mr. Coy, thank God I alive. I could talk to all you on the radio this morning. I had a close call yesterday evening, boy. coming out from work, well, going down, me and another two ladies going down the hospital step. We meet about six white folks coming up. Well, we had a conversation with them, and I asked them if them from the board, they say they are doctors. So one of the ladies say, well, they ask them, all you get, all you taste island already? They say no. She say, well, Miss Linda, give them island tomorrow, no? And then they say they can come out tomorrow. They have to walk. So we leave now. The two ladies was about four trader from the step from me, and I coming down. When I reach in, I listen, I hear something grumbling in the bush. So I stand up now to look, Mr. Kai, when I tell you some debris come down.
Wow.
If I didn't make the next step past, all it would have been sympathizing with my family to know, or some kind of thing, my 2 foot would have break this thing, would have thrown me down. It was so close, you won't believe. The two ladies say, Miss Glenda, run. Well, I stand up. I don't know if to run up or if it's to run down. But all this debris come down on that step. Boy, I just had to say, thank God. God is ready to send me on the other side yet.
Not yet.
So I don't know why I would like them to clean the area, because sometimes all the bush on top there, if you clean it, perhaps you might be able to see some of the rock what loose to come down. So perhaps they might do something about it, or they may have to close the road for coming up the step. Because I'm going to tell you, the step is a real shortcut to go to the hospital.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes I just feel to go around, but when I remember the shortcut, I just come down. And last week, I heard a lady asked to close that thing because some of the steps with it really crack real bad, so it could collapse anytime too. So I wish they could come and look at it and see what they could do to think, but I just want to thank God it all this morning. All they don't want to talk about me, but we could talk together. But I'm telling you, it was very dangerous.
Wow.
Was it right at it, almost to the top of the steps, or middle way?
Like the middle.
Middle. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the middle. I'll tell you, it was close. But anyhow, thank God I could talk to my folks this morning, and I'm happy about it. Next thing I would like to this allegation going wrong. I have to say allegation because nobody been arrested and charged for this situation with the minister Williams and the Williams. I hear two kind of thing. I hear something with a house. I hear something with a road. I don't know what really going on. But I'm calling on the minister and the Williams. I don't know what. He have to do something about that. He is in the public domain. There are many people looking at him, listening to him. And if the allegation is not true, you can't have somebody just, if you want to leave it like that, you have many people who want to know the truth. Many of your followers, you've been loved by many people in this country. And if this allegation is false, I feel he should do something about it to clear up his name, because to have your name in this parang is not a clean parang. So I don't know what he will do, but many of his supporters and many people would like to see he take step and do what is right to clear up his name in this Billy and parang. Okay?
Okay.
So, Uncle Lee, you are in here. What happened in this morning? He called?
No, he's not around right now, but he's...
Okay then.
Okay,
and also before I run out, I want to say hi to Mr. Big Time Poke. Long time I ain't hear you, my brother. I hope everything's fine with you. Lady Samo, have a good day, my girl. So, bye-bye. If anything I remember and I could come back, Mr. Kim, I'll back.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye. Before we make any comments there, let me try to take another call who's been waiting. Caller, you there? Caller?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you for waiting. Yes, Go ahead. Your turn.
Yeah. Okay, so this is in reference to the lady that was saying to be in preparation for the time when we would not be able to buy and sell.
Right.
I'd like to correct her on a few things. That's correct. You would not be Christians or faithful believers would not be able to buy and sell. But the mark of the beast is not something that is going to be in or on, or it's not going to be on or some kind of thing they're going to put on your hand or anything. The mark of the beast is only going to happen when the Antichrist is here, and the mark of the beast is actually believing the lies of the Antichrist, believing him to be Christ himself, returned. The mark is going to be in your forehead. That's why he said in, which is your mind. You're deceived. And Christ is not going to have it because he told you that the Antichrist comes first at the 6th trump, and the true Christ returns at the last trump. He said it right there in the Bible. He's going to be there. So if he comes back and you are in bed with Satan, you're a devil worshiper. That is the mark of the beast. You have the mark of the beast because you believe the lies of the Antichrist.
Oh, okay, caller. All right. Well, thank you so much. I mean, take another call. Vibes FM caller. Thank you for waiting. Yes. Hello. You're on.
Morning, guys.
Yeah. Good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
All right. I was just dealing with the caller before this one. He was saying that Andy needs to take some action. Well, I was listening to Kemp Jones, and I think he is taking action. Because I heard that the bailiff is looking for, trying to find the real where Jenny is staying. So that they could solve all the papers.
Yeah. I heard
so
that too.
He's taking action against her.
I heard that too, yeah. But you see, the thing about it, I believe I don't want to make her be any kind of a conversation on this program too much.
Yeah, I know.
She's irrelevant. She's irrelevant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just trying to make herself relevant. That's just what it is.
That's it, yeah. Let me leave it there. Let me leave it there.
On the topic of the mark of the beast, there's a lot of different discussions about the mark of the beast and what will happen to people and everything like that. It's a wide subject, and some people believe that the people are going to be raptured before the mark of the beast really coming totally. And it's something that will open a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even begin started.
Okay.
But the program is a good program.
Okay, man. Well, thank you so much for brother. Okay, bye. Yeah. Okay, bye. Yeah. Let me
some people I see a comment here, Kim. This is Bible class Thursday.
Yeah. Vibes FM. Next caller, coming caller. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
The last days. I taking it up from where you left. The last day is not a day. It's a period of time going on to when everything will over in this world. And Jesus Christ made it clear of much of those things that will happen in the last days. And maybe theologians might see it different or strengthen what I'm saying. Now, the day Jesus Christ left the earth, okay, when he was raptured, some say ascend, but it doesn't matter, the words mean the same thing. Okay?
Yeah.
The last days, I believe, begin from that time. Because the church started after he ascended into heaven. The apostles went out from the day of Pentecost and start ministering, and the church began from there. So the church in itself is in the last days, that period of time. And he said, all what will happen in the last days, wars and rumors of wars. He shows how children will be against parents, parents against children, the type of society we will have, the type of government we will have, and go right down until he will return, take his people away, and judge the wicked. That period of time is called the last days. That's why it ends with an S. and not a why. So it's a period of time. So you have creation, from creation to the time of the flood, from the flood to when the children of Israel taken into captivity, from that day till the birth of Jesus Christ. And the last day is from the time Jesus Christ ascended into heaven unto the final end, when that final day will come. So we on earth, here is a transition for us. Our business here is to prepare ourselves to meet our Maker. And if we don't prepare properly, we will not meet Him. We will not be with Him. If we prepare according to His desire, we will be with Him. Whether we believe it or doubt it, that doesn't change it. Whatever He says goes. He's speaking His way, it's going to pass. And all that He said. Now, you have people questioning the Bible. But look at the Bible closely. This is the only book we have on earth that tells you what the future will be. And when that time comes, these things come into pass. No other book on earth could tell you that. So what is written, it is for our knowledge that we may take, that we can take heed and be prepared for when our last day comes. Whether we die before that last day, our business is to prepare for when that time comes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I tell you, when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to these predictions and things like that, as the caller just mentioned, though, that it's written how many thousands of years ago, and it's happening now the last days. And we have a lot of conversations around those things from time to time. And no one is yet been able to identify straight out what the last days is. We know what the signs will be.
Yes.
But it could be
as indicated, the signs.
Yeah, the signs is what we're experiencing now, But as one caller just mentioned earlier on, though, it's something we have to be prepared for. Is, as she was mentioned, she was going down the steps up by the hospital, and the rocks and some thing came down.
The debris from inside on top of the bush.
This thing is happening all over, landslides here and there. And sometimes they're massive. Sometimes you could see them moving, because what the preparatory work now, the work that was done in Molineux, is because of the movement of the earth.
Yes.
So we have to be careful, when we are around areas of the nature where there are, hills and the terrain is like that. We have to be careful because stones and things like that sometimes get loose.
They get loose. And
even I remember quite a number of years ago in Grenada, we had a major accident when one of the stones fell on the bus. Yes, I think it was in Guatemala or something like that. Right here. So we have to be aware of that. And whenever we walk in, be careful. Vibes FM, caller, come in now.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to one and all, Mr. Coy and everybody else.
Hi, good morning to you. Good morning to you.
All right. But, it's amazing and it's strange, and it's America probably happening. I'm experiencing it. The truth is, about 1 hour ago, about 1 hour ago, and I opened my Bible, and imagine, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, Timothy 2. Timothy 2 is where I looked at. But then I decided, let me just branch over to Timothy 3. And this is it.
Yeah.
But know this, that in the last days, previous times shall come, for men shall be self-lovers, lovers of money, boastful, haughty, railers, disobedient, appearance, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, impractical, slanderers, without self-control, fierce, no lovers of good, traitors, strong, puffed, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of the Father. Yeah. It's strange, and when you started up, your program started up 10 o'clock, I admired your discussion, and it's very, very good indeed. I hope the entire Ghanaian population could, avoid and whatnot that is happening. As I personally can tell you, many, many, many different things, I'm suffering till weekend gone. Well, Tuesday gone, I turned 70. But on Sunday, when I went to my land, I mean, just imagine the last log of stool that was standing that I planted 3 years ago among all the other different stools. I mean, imagine. I got a bunch of blubber from there, but all the young suckers, the goats, man, they lick it up. They lick it up. I mean, I look at all the other stools go down. I planted mango in May of this year. The goats lick it up. You know, I have a serious problem because I'm struggling here. And I'm wondering, where is the Ministry of Agriculture? And you know, I have 2 documents with me here, and I can tell you they did. And frankly speaking, in May of 2023, May 2023, and this year's evaluation from the Ministry of Agriculture, $315, and that's for damages done by this animal, this great and all that. But here, in May 31st, 2016, I have another one here, $1,250. This involves cocoa tree, avocado tree, saucer tree, plantains, fruit, nutmeg tree, and whatnot. You know, when I'm wondering what is happening, I'm hearing much talk about the government and what they are doing and what they are planning and how life is up. But as a farmer, I'm wondering if because I have 1 foot, you know, I farm on 3 acres of land in one place, I farm on 2 acres of land in another place, and I farm on quarter of an acre of land in one place. I can convince you. Just about 2-3 weeks ago, like these people who take it to joke, I don't know. Raw Lewis, the gentleman named, he was driving this Ministry of Agriculture van. And there was 9 of them on it, you know, and I stood up because they met me in the road, and I stood up because I was just returning from my lands anyway. And I stood up and I explained where I live right now. I'm not hearing a word from them, and I'm not knowing exactly what is happening where I'm in need. But anyway, let's leave it like that for now. You all have a...
Okay, caller. Yeah, caller, thank you. Okay. 403-0101 and 443-0101. And you can also call 459-1914. Somebody's making a joke here, you know. And I was just laughing. They said, you know, is it written in the last days that Trump would send everybody home?
Yeah, well, not directly specifically, but, yeah, I think it's indirectly.
Yeah,
there will be some madman around.
Yeah. Yeah, but quite a number of things we need to take seriously.
Well, yeah, seriously.
In everyday lives.
Yeah.
And we were talking about hurricanes earlier on, into the hurricane season now, and you realize now that the hurricanes are getting much more aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word dangerous. They're getting more aggressive.
It is so in truth. So dangerous because the intensity is beyond our understanding really, because we've seen it live on television. You stood back and look at the tornadoes and see how those things falling down. I mean, we don't have that here.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine all the time that people who is in that mix up, you know, what will happen? They're just swirling around. I mean, what? Can we control that?
No, there's no control.
Can we go up there and say, well, and control that part of the cloud or the whatever is coming down there? Yeah? No.
And just like you just said there, but as you mentioned the word tornadoes, you know, I believe that when Beryl passed through our area,
was that tornado type?
There was some tornadoes, inside of there.
Yeah,
definitely. Some of the damages and some of the things that we saw happened, you know, it's unbelievable that the power of the wind alone, just regular blowing straight, you know, it must be some swirling activity inside.
I don't know if you can recall or if you know it in regards to what you are saying there. I don't know if you know, right above the pond in Bel Air, the pond.
Yeah. I saw the container.
Right. Yeah. And the container was, it literally left from that side and go over
the hill.
Over the hill.
And landed on the road.
Landed on the road.
I saw it.
I cannot, up to now, cannot comprehend how the wind, as vicious as it might have been, to lift a container
from one side of a hill,
yes, to the other side.
To the other side.
I don't know. I mean, probably there was something else involved in that.
Well, again, the activity of the wind, maybe the way it's thrown, it could be tornado. I don't know, but we also had a similar thing. I believe that was the one that was looked on, but the other one, where the container left the area of Limley, if you remember, and ended up on the Dover School, which was some distance. People tried to estimate maybe a
good distance around.
It could be about 1,000 yards. So some people estimate it to be
more than that.
More than as you're saying.
Yeah.
And imagine a 40-foot container.
Yeah.
Moving that distance over land, over land. Without and passing over trees.
And other buildings.
And over other buildings too. And end up
on the school.
Yeah.
Resting on the school.
Mm-hmm.
Not even, well, I tell you, there are a lot of things we don't understand yet, and we will never ever understand it in this life.
But this is the last days. I believe the last days is going to cover all of that, And this is where preparation again, I believe as we officially into the hurricane season, we need to have a plan in place as to what will we do in the event that something happened like what transpired last year. If we don't have a plan in place, we could be caught off guard, and we could have much more destruction. And who knows?
The plan would also help us to balance our own expectation. In other words, we will not panic in a way that we don't know what to do. We know what to do.
Mm-hmm. We're prepared to do what we have to do. Because I know someone told me recently that they start putting away important documents.
Well, that's important. And now after the event, you find people say, "Oh boy, I lost my passport. I lost this certificates I've had. This I've had," and you just watch them disappear.
Vibes FM line 9 caller coming.
Yes, I'm calling in connection with Sister Glenda and what took place.
Yeah.
This place wrong there is a place that the government had to look into. I remember during the revolution they was talking about the tunnel time span expire, and around there big stone always falling. So government must look into it. We must prepare because we're in the hurricane season, and we see what the wind could do. I could remember hearing people saying, Janet, time they get Paul's Airport signboard in Carriacou. And if the wind make it travel all a mile and midday. So wind can do a lot. And talking about the last days, you see a lot of people interpreting scriptures to their own ability and availability. Because they're telling us, Jesus himself said in Matthew, as it was in days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. And he said, when you see this thing, that's the beginning of sorrows. So if we didn't see those things before, we're hearing about Christ coming soon. And what the grandparents and parents didn't see, we are seeing it now. So we have to make a total preparation. And we mustn't believe all what we hear. Read and understand the scriptures. Say, study to show yourself approved unto God, and workman rightly dividing the words of truth. Because I hear a lot of people talking about Noah and the flood. Imagine God had Noah in the mountain to build an ark, he and his children, and they take near 100 years. Who Noah lived to go and preach to? The Bible never said Noah preached, but some preachers saying that, and I don't believe that, because what they're telling us, when the flood come, if rain coming and you take quite up on a mountain, you can't even climb the mountain. How you could run up and knock off do? That is the imagination. So we have to study for ourselves, and prepare, because Christ is coming soon, and he that say he will come, he will and he must come. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much.
The color is always.
There's a little bit of a humor in there.
Yeah.
How people could run up on the mountain.
Yes.
Was it actually built on the mountain?
On the top, Kilimanjaro.
I mean, that's what
at the top.
Yeah.
Because
so people.
So by the time the water reach up on the mountain, they could float.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's saying that people run up the mountain. Just to knock a deal.
Get back. Let's get back into preparation. Into preparation for the season that we are currently in. And this is something I don't think we should take slightly. We should all pay attention and put that plan in place. Start preparing now before. Because last year, if you remember, the season begins on 1st of June. And just about 30 days after the season began, we had this dangerous, I still think it's a Category 5 burial that passed through our area.
Yeah.
And if you're not prepared from the beginning and you wait until the middle to start preparing, you could be caught off guard.
Well, certainly, and not that as if we don't know the consequences. We know what it's like when we're not prepared. We know the damages, we know the injuries, we know the pain it can create. People are still feeling the pain. We want us to don't take these things seriously and do not remember what we went through and do the same thing again. We expect different results. I mean, listen, I think we need to prepare ourselves mentally and otherwise. And let's not do it on our own or by ourselves. Because in times as those, when you are under pressure and when you are going through all these things, others being there with which you could ease whatever is happening to you. So let's do it collectively. That's why they talk about families, homes. Yeah, families should have a disaster preparedness plan. So the idea is for us to take action. No, and the action we are taking is to be prepared. No, wait until the wind start to blow. You say you want to go and knock up some curtain.
So you believe we should have something like a checklist, right?
Yes.
Develop a checklist to know, well, 1, 2, we do this, do that, make sure.
Yeah.
So we could tick off,
tick off those things that we have done and so on. I mean, apart from the fact that it might save our lives, but I think it brings the family closer together. We're discussing an important issue. If this happened, you have to man that door, example. If this happened, you have to stand by that window. You understand? So it brings us together, albeit it might be in that way, but it brings us together so that we can discuss and put things in place to protect our own selves,
Because as what transpired last year, God forbid it happened, I repeat it, but you think we'll be in a better position now to deal with it?
Yeah. We are to be in a better position. For example, when last year we heard about the debacle, I call it that, when people were living in swampy areas, refused to move. You think they are still sitting now? I mean, it reached a place where the police had to come and remove them for their own safety. You think people will not just move as long as the wind start to blow? Find some way to go close by in the neighborhood or out of there. I don't see us repeating that and staying. Listen, I live here and I stay here and I want to die here.
No, you're right about that, because I know that, for instance, in my plan, I know exactly if it does happen again, exactly what to do.
Precisely.
There's no if about it, and we sometimes trying to see if we could save property and things like that, which should never be in my plan. That's not in my plan. So it's a matter of saving lives and making sure that whatever things that we have that are important to us, we try to guard them and save them as much as possible. And this is something that should not be taken lightly, because in 2004, Ivan came, and just about 9 months later, we had Emily as a follow-up.
Yes.
So now we're back into the season again, and who knows what can happen this year. So this is something that I think we need to just put into our minds, make sure that we're in a better position right now to weather whatever disasters come our way, and be able to deal with it.
Because the whole issue about the whole impact of hurricanes and disaster generally is not necessarily or only during the time it's happening. After, when we realize we don't have no water to drink, when we realize we can't even we can't even put a switch on, that's when those pains start to hit. When we realize, when we realize that we have some cuts and so on, and we don't have any band-aid, we don't have any medical kit, we don't have a first aid kit, all will that time say, well, I wish I had it, but now is the time to not wish. Yes, wish it now, but plan it and have it now, because it's those times when you'll need those things the most. You would have to find
Definitely.
the pain from it.
As you just mentioned there, quite a number of things that we need to have in place.
Yeah, we do have to have it. We never know. We can be quiet in a corner, cozy corner, trying to hide ourselves and so on, and something happen and we get caught, and something happen, and we say, but no, you didn't plan for that. But of course you didn't plan for that. But you had to plan for, if cuts come, you have to be able to deal with it, because the hospital too might not be able to be there. Nurses and doctors might not be there to attend to you immediately. So look out for yourself.
And what has been happening too, which I noticed, people have been taking necessary precautions, is the building back process has improved considerably in Carriacou.
So you could avoid some of the loose things that were wrong then, and so on.
And some of the errors that were being made, in years gone by. Now they're trying to correct them.
Yeah.
At least they could put up a stronger resistance if it were to reoccur, But that's something that I think is very, very important in the preparation as well. Building back better.
Yeah.
Making.
So what sense it makes you build a house? You had a house there, and the wind just brush it and it fall. So you want to and you get the opportunity to rebuild now. What sense it make to just do the same thing? You have to strengthen it, go down deeper, go whatever you need to do to strengthen it, enhance it, because it's important that you prepare for. We don't know what's going to happen, but what we have to know is that we are ready and prepared to survive, be it during the hurricane or even after. Because all now people are still feeling the pain, and hurricane gone 11 months ago.
Yeah. And if I were to look back at what's been happening too, I think I saw like some waves that already started formation. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw the Guyana. I think it was around Guyana, far down in the south, where you have these systems, or maybe waves, going through. Which, to my knowledge, that's never been happening before. But just a second, Vibes FM, and let me take a call there before they start backing up. Vibes FM, caller, your life.
Hi, Mr. Mills.
Hi.
Greetings, how are you, man, Mr. Coy?
Yes, okay, good morning. Right.
I've been listening to you people for the past, let me see, it's about an hour. A couple of things came up there and so on. I ain't touching the predications and so on about the coming of the Lord and whatnot. I ain't touching that.
Okay.
That's out of my realm.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned about, preparations, which is your main theme. And something came to my mind when I heard, should I say before I go there, because that's the principal thing. I'm pretty in agreement with some of the things you spoke of earlier as relates to the matters which affect the country, the nation itself, the population. But one thing I didn't get from you, Mr. Mills, Mr. Coy, is the role that the quote-unquote media and communication systems play in the divulging of the information to the people.
Yeah.
Through sound debate with people skilled, people versatile, well-learned, very professional, and even practicing people in it. I'll give you an idea, for instance. You spoke of the sargassum. We can't control that. Something of nature that's creating the situation where this plant is a plant being detached from its base. Somebody in the conversation spoke of the seaweed and otherwise. These things grow at the floor of the sea. What happens that this one is just detaching after a certain stage and it's floating about according to the winds, the tides, and the currents. It's coming onto our shores, but we had to find something to do with it. Adaptation. We need to have more people talking professionally about these things. But every day we're hearing having a conference and this and a conference and nothing is happening. That's my problem. There's another one. The movement of the land you spoke of, for instance, in going up to go off the Mabuya, is it? You mentioned something about Mabuya. Listen, since I was a boy, the land moving.
Yeah.
Up to now.
Yes.
73 years after. We are engineers that come up to a solution. If we don't have the capacity, can't we get something else from somebody else to correct this thing once and for all? What are we doing? You see, we're wasting them on a lot of talk, but as it relates to discussion on certain matters of national interest. For instance, the electoral laws of the country, we need to correct that. There must be some sort of control on election and campaign financing. Money circulating when election time and so nobody where you coming from and it's affecting the politics. It's infiltrating and affecting the politics of this here country. What are we going to do about that? Or shall we just sit there and watch it? Parties are being bought. No, we can't continue so. And it takes me to one of the final ones. The constitutional architecture of this country is perverse. It's dishonest. But nobody wants to talk about it. My question is, why is it the media and the radio waves and so on of this here country don't prepare conditions for debate on matters like that, where the people, regardless of who they are, what position they hold, whatever level of education, can contribute and we can come to quote unquote a consensus on the matter? There is deficiency in the question related to mass communication, especially radio and television, but to end the ones. I wanted to ask this curious question. I hear people talking about building back better and whatnot and whatnot. You know my condition. I can't see with my eyes, but I see otherwise.
Okay.
Is there any, or has there been, should I say, any design, metallic structural designs, which can be used on the beams which retain the roofs of our houses that can be cast into the wall or bolted on to the wooden structures so that the roofs can be bolted and firmly held together? And additional to that, even at the bases of the houses, the wooden houses, are there any metallic structures one can go into the hardware and buy in the construction of a house, or people still punching nails into roofs and them kind of things? Do you know of that? As a matter of fact, I'll end by saying this. If this hasn't been done yet, I think we are serious, because I am seeing an industry there. I'm seeing employment for the welders of this country. I think it's something that we should seriously consider. In other words, we can't be punching nails into roofs and so on again.
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent they use in schools, but I know other jurisdiction where I've lived, I've seen they use screws. I think the place that I live,
I think the
is screwed. And it has metal beams, which is welded into a structure, cast into the walls.
Yeah.
So no wind can blow that off. So as we build back better, I just hope that the engineers of this country seriously consider, or may seriously consider this idea. But what is worth, I throw it out there, Mr. Mills.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will just
as you just mentioned before you go further, you just mentioned, are there things in place? There are, things in place to make sure that you reinforce much better, so that you could withstand whatever weather. Depends on what it is anyway. But there are, because I remember once going to Trinidad right after Ivan, and I bought so much of this clamps that hold rafters together, hold beams together. Of course, you have to really, drill and put them in permanently, to make things stronger. But there are things in place, but we have not been using them. And as you just mentioned, to 2 nails here and a little
No,
screw
well, I
there.
mean, what I do know from coming after burial is that nails are no longer applicable. Yes, only screws.
So we move to that level. Hold
So
on.
yes, because it's
calls
stronger.
backing up on
Yes,
me. So check. Vibes FM caller coming.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Good
yes,
morning,
yeah,
good morning.
you're on.
Good
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Okay, not bad at all.
Yeah, we're preparing.
All right. All right. Yes, you got to be prepared. Just going back in the days of Noah and the Ark, I've been hearing the conversation. I just want to go back a little to make sure that people understand that rain didn't used to fall, and Noah building an ark.
Was crazy.
Oh, yeah. They thought it was crazy, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he say a flood is coming.
Yeah,
right.
Just remember that part. I don't know if anybody mentioned that part of it.
Nobody did.
So
But
it's the same. It's the same thing we see now. Things are happening that didn't used to happen. We never used to see orgasm coming in and all of that.
Yeah.
So it was as it was in the days in Noah. So it is in our days as well, because we see things differently. It's different things we see that we never used to see before. But they didn't used to see rain. They see, and he was building the ark way far away from the sea.
Right.
So he had the people wondering because he fooling them. He building this ark to save them. A flood is coming.
That is a crazy
The ark is
man.
on top of the ark is on top of a mountain, and you telling me you're building that ark because a flood is coming and it's to save us, and we never see rain falling before.
Yeah.
So I say let me just call and point that out.
Point that out, yes.
They never used to see rain back then, and the ark was building so far from the sea, so that was really you had to have faith to believe.
Yeah.
That's why it's only Noah and the family that believe that,
Yeah, right. You're right, Carl.
And the
But
family alone that believe that.
Caller, do you believe that there's a deeper message in that account that was written? Look at all the things you pointed out. It's almost impossible. Rain didn't fall for years. And you're going on, and apart from that, you're going on top of the mountain, the highest mountain. You're still down in the flat, close to the where the sea. No, I'm saying there's a deeper and greater message in that event that we know. When you think things are impossible, when God,
you have to believe. You have to believe by faith.
Yes. I think
faith to believe that.
Right. Okay, caller.
You see, because most of the time we look at the possibility of things happening to believe, but in this case, you have to believe by faith.
Yeah.
And the Bible says we have faith like a mustard seed, and a mustard seed in big, a little seed.
And I know.
You could move mountains.
Right. Just imagine that.
And listen, I'm always amazed by the definition of faith. The evidence of things not seen. The evidence in it. You're not mentally imagining it. You are having it's an evidence of things not seen. I mean, what is?
It's only hope.
Yes,
things that hope for, not seen. Yeah, because if you see it, you don't take faith to be.
Right. Yeah.
When you see it, you know. You're in charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, caller.
All right, guys.
Caller, thank you so much.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Let me try to take another call.
Yes, please.
Landline caller?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning.
That's a family.
Generally, I do not call radio stations anymore because of my age. I'm in my 80s now.
Wow.
And I don't want to say things that are too unintelligible. But listening to some of the contributions made with regards to quotes from the Bible, they puzzle me. They puzzle me because the devil can quote scriptures to suit his own purpose.
Sure.
And the Bible is not, I repeat, not a book. The Bible is a library, a set of different books on different topics with different intentions and objectives. The story of Noah killing an act up in the mountain and holding different species of nature to conserve them in the thing. And a storm coming to launch. Where was the technology at the time? I say no more. A library is a place where you get fictitious books, mythology, poetry, law books, narratives, and we have to learn to distinguish. I believe in the Bible, but I understand the symbolism of many of the quotations. And the Bible is a collection of books, and some of those collections contradict others. But I still believe in God, whoever he may be. I don't want to say he because God doesn't depend on sex. Sex is a process for procreation. But I believe there is a God, but my head, my brain is too insignificant to decipher God and the works of God. And in the Bible, I take everything with a pinch of salt. Good day, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Caller, thank you so very much. Nice hearing your voice after a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Thank you.
He's always been.
He's listening. He's always listening.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's just that. I'm sorry. I hope Sir Leo is listening because he always ask about. Ask about him.
Because I remember one word, that he spoke about, and it's still with me. One man-ment. And I never heard a word like that before, but it's in our society. It's was appropriate.
Yeah, well, of course it is,
and it still stuck with me.
I mean, it is playing out now.
Yes,
the one-man attitude, one-man mentality. Even though he is nobody else.
443-0101, 443-0101, and 403-0101. You want to join the conversation, feel free to do so. And our number is 458-1914, 458-1914. Now, a caller before that, I think it was Citizen Rulo, who mentioned about the media involvement.
Facilitating this kind of robust discussion among the public. Yeah, I mean, we need to do that.
But why have they been absent?
Because the media really has fallen into the trap of these politicians, and they, instead of being professional, they decide to approach this thing with loyalty, a sense of loyalty, because being a professional does not only mean that should mean rather that you, in spite of whatever loyalty that you have to be, there are certain things as a media person that you must do. Be accurate, for example. I always remember this phrase, if in doubt, leave out. I mean, that's when you're learning some of the basics.
Yeah.
So they say to you, if you're in doubt, if you as the author or the writer, you are in doubt, leave out. And you save yourself some trouble. So I'm saying the media has to take that stand and educate people. The media is there to educate. Yeah. And that's one of the roles, to educate.
But the media has not been playing its part in, as you just mentioned, educating it has not been playing its part, But
I say, I mean, because of these things that happen, where people, where loyalty is more important than professionalism, and all these things, and the politicians know that. They know that, but we have to get away from that attitude and from that practice. Doesn't mean that you cannot like anybody, It means that you have to be a professional, because it's a professional job.
And it's important for them to disseminate the information to the public and to get them ready and more knowledgeable of what to do, what not to do. but that's been lacking and missing. And
I mean, a lot of things are lacking. A lot of things are lacking. And what do? We just try to see how we could improve and go forward.
Vibes FM, Lana caller coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Nice hearing your voice once again.
Oh, yes.
I was down in space. But anyhow, let me say hello.
Yeah.
And all others behind the panel.
Yeah.
That is good. I hear you talking about the scripture there, but what people don't understand. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word is God. The Bible is good news. Faith is the substance of things not seen, the evidence of things hoping for. You see, when we went to school, we know in June what it's all about. You know?
Yeah.
Heading on to the hurricane. It's just like that. So some people are just lapsed. You understand? When things start to come now, they want to do hurry. But we must know if we go to school, that when we went to school for preparation wrong this time, have to be done since day. So when people talking about the Bible and God, the other thing what we got to minimize, we cannot get it out of this world. We come and meet it there and we got to live it. You see, some people don't want to fight on lesbian, fight on. We come and we meet it there. God is the judge of all of us. Every man have his own gift. Salvation is a free. God give us free. So you cannot control somebody else's life and control your life. Every man have a right to work on his own salvation, with fear and trembling. And we will live in harmony and in love and in peace. If we just keep ourselves together and unite together with the love of God. Because but 10 commandments, you know, if you break one, you're guilty of all. Right? And what people are trying to understand, Moses didn't go up on the cross. It's Jesus Christ who go up on the cross. Right? We could go to the throne of God and pray now. People are going to make atonement for us again. You see?
Yeah.
So you see, in the days before, when you go into the Holy of the Holies, when you go inside there to offer atonement, and they see your past, that means you're dead inside there. You don't make no joke. They have a rope tied there and you're on there to drag you out. We don't have to do that again. We go to Jesus Christ because He is the forgiver for all of us was born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Not to say we'll see people doing things and continue watching them sin doing things and you know they seek the wrong. We have to help them when we know the truth. So that's what our society sometimes do trying to understand.
Yeah.
But thank God for Jesus.
Yeah.
Have a blessed evening.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Caller,
much.
thank you very much.
Yeah. 443-0101. 443-0101 and 403-0101. 458-1914. It gets very interesting, Kai. When we hear these different opinions have been shared. And again, in the beginning, we spoke about conversation. We need to have conversations in order for us to be able to rally out, in order for us to be able to live with one another. Otherwise than that, we're going to be in total madness and
chaos will be the order of the day.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to get the impression that when we have a conversation that we have to agree with everything everybody says. The fact that you do not agree or do not understand, it can be because of lack of understanding. And so when you converse, the more you converse and it's explained to you, you will get to understand as well. So conversation is really a very, very positive thing to happen. It aids and helps your understanding. You might have people say, well, I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah.
That's what conversation does.
Yeah.
So it opens your mind to
ideas
and not just what you have in your mind.
Okay.
So yeah.
Right, FM. WhatsApp caller coming.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good morning.
How you all doing?
All right. And you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm calling because I heard the gentleman call just now. The one man. I forgot his name, but I really miss Mr. Marshall.
Yeah.
But there used to be a gentleman from St. Patrick who was a pastor. And I haven't heard him in months.
Pastor.
Can you please tell me what's going on with him?
Pastor McKee,
Yeah, where is he? What's he up to?
I have to take blame for this. I'll tell you why. because every time on the program we mention his name, and I always say at the end of the program, because I have his numbers. I've been in touch with him and his family from time to time in the past, and I always say I would get in touch with him and find out how he's doing, because we are concerned, because I've not spoken to him or the family in quite a while, and he has a sister who lives right in the back where I am right here, and
I'm very concerned because he used to call the program.
Yeah.
He came up. I think he came up to karaoke.
Yeah, he's been
came
on the program,
to the studio.
Yeah. And he has
Why don't you? Could you please send me his number? I'll reach out to him.
Well, before sending the number, I would reach out to him.
Well, yeah, because you procrastinated, so I wanted to do it right away.
I'm going to make it my duty this time, and I'm writing as I speak right now, and making sure I put my notes, together. So when I'm through the program, I make that extra effort to find him and to find out how he's doing, because we are concerned, And like I say,
I want you to. I have an idea. I want you to call him while the program is on, and let him know that we're thinking about him right now.
Right. Yeah.
So let him know, because I am very concerned about him. He doesn't call anymore. We're not hearing anything. Something is not right with him. Because we used to know what's going on with the Breakwater project and stuff in St. Patrick. We're not getting any. We're not hearing from him.
Yeah.
I miss him.
Yeah, well, I'm missing too.
I really do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I promise.
Okay. And okay, now something else I want to talk about as we're talking about preparation. I remember there used to be a program on the radio at the launch of the hurricane season. They used to have skits. I believe Kim Jones had something to do with the NADMA back then. And they used to have all sorts of different promo information years ago. But now after hurricane, after what we suffered last year, I would have expected us to be, according to John Rollo, for us to come more with promo and education. And I'm getting nothing. What is NADMA doing? I think NADMA should be holding little sessions and training sessions, and have promo programs on the radio and be, sensitizing the public on what to expect and how to prepare for the hurricane season.
Yeah.
Same as what Mr. Rulu said.
Yeah.
But I remember we used to have radio programs.
Yes, Carla.
I believe Kim Jones had something to do with it.
Well, Carla, let me just ask you to stick up in for a minute, because I was involved. Back years ago, I used to do this program. I think the name of the program was Prepare to Survive. Yeah,
correct.
And I think Wayne Williams used to be the one who was giving the information during that program.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think all the programs we did, I still think I have it in my library. I'm going to look it up.
Well, pull them out, please.
I'll
pull
try
them
to pull
out
them
and
out
play them again.
Yeah, no, because because what happened is that that program needed some sponsoring, and we were not getting the sponsors, for production as well as for airplay, and that's why we sort of stopped it. But I have quite a number of them. If I'm not mistaken, maybe over 30 or 35 episodes, of that Prepare to Survive. That's the name of it. When I type that up, I should be able to pull it up. And if I do find it, I promise that I would do it on my own voluntary, because I think it's important to keep the public abreast and get them prepared for, you never know what the outcome could be. You never know what disaster could strike, whatever.
But NADMA should be able to pay something for those programs, or at least part sponsor whatever little help NADMA can give, because to me it falls right in their. I would think it's their responsibility to educate the public.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling on NADMA.
Well, Colin, what I do know is that I would say, let me see, the past 4 to 5 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks rather, there have been NADMA people have been going to villages, walking through all the villages and explain and seeking to educate. So they have been doing footwork, as it were, visit villages and communities.
That's not enough. That's
And
not
I'm
enough.
not saying it is enough, but I'm just saying that this has been happening alongside other things. In regards to the issue of promotion, of course, NADMA is based in St. George's, Carriacou PT, Martin Kita offshoot, as it were, sub. And most of those things are done from that level, NADMA, because they have a communications people. So I'm just saying.
I agree.
I'm just saying things have been done. Some things have been done. Of course, obviously, not as much as what should be done and desired. So we can, in our own way, be part of that process by explaining to people, sharing with people, neighbors, friends in the communities, and have conversations on that issue. Mark me, compare. How ready are you?
Yes.
The trees
I
around.
understand, but NADMA has an executive director or something, Dr. What's his name?
Terrence Walters.
Yes. Dr. Right. And as a matter of fact, when I'm finished talking here, I will be calling him out and calling him and speaking to him on this, because we cannot afford for people sit in positions and we expect to hear them, and they're supposed to be out educating the public, and and we're not hearing anything. Footwork is good, but footwork, you can't walk from Carriacou to Grenada.
No, Colin, I'm talking
you have
about,
to do something.
I'm talking about
Come out
us. I'm talking about us here in Carriacou.
I'm talking about the state of Grenada.
Yes, but
I'm talking about the state of Grenada.
Well, when you say we can walk from Carriacou to Grenada, I mean, I was not speaking at that level. I was not speaking at that. I was saying.
I'm saying there might be some people in Carriacou that might be doing the footwork. But what happened to the people on Grenada? When hurricanes strike, we never know where it will hit. It can hit the entire state of Grenada. I'm saying the executive director and the leadership in NADMA need to be heard and come out and do what's necessary to educate the public.
Yeah.
And I agree. And as community members, as individuals within the communities, we also have to contribute to that process. Yeah?
That is always good.
Yes.
That is always good.
It should be.
But we don't have to take the responsibility for the whole nation.
No. Community, where we live.
I am
but
going to call them out.
I quite agree with you. I think we should have much more information, coming out from NADMA as to getting the population ready,
sensitizing the public. Yes.
I think they've been lax. Too
yes.
relaxed.
I don't think it is fair to say that they're lapsing, because they have challenges as well. And I'm saying
I understand, but this is the hurricane season, Milton, and we need to be hearing from NADMA.
What I'm saying, I know this is the hurricane season. Disaster can happen anytime. But the point is, let us also become part of the solution.
I understand. Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with you on that. But that does not negate the fact that we need to hear from the management of NADMA.
Yeah, Carla, you're right. I
okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I will be going on the Dr. Tyron Buckmeyer, isn't that?
No, Walters.
Walters, Tyron Walters.
Terrence.
Tyron Walters.
Terrence Walters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will be reaching out to him.
Yes.
Okay.
We thank you for that.
Yes.
And for bringing that
right.
to the front too. Yeah. Okay.
But
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a good
Thanks.
day.
Thank you, Colin.
Okay,
thank you, Colin.
Yeah, go ahead, Colin.
One aspect of this, I know, as I mentioned it there, I think we should not overlook is the fact that at a community level, there should be some conversation taking place. The word conversation comes up, And that can certainly be one of the ways to educate people by having such community conversations. What I do know about NADMA here in Carriacou is that they have been going in communities and having sit-down discussions with people. Yeah, people on the side of, let's say blocks, people homes, wherever they gather, have a conversation with them. And I'm saying the public individually can also assist, and that is part of our civic duty and responsibility, because we do have. I'm saying let's all put our effort in that to ensure lives are saved and properties are safe. I believe it's all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of us. I mean, we should reach out to the top at all times, but also understand what are our roles and responsibility as citizens. Help the neighbor, help the person down the road to understand. But I know what happened though. When we can have conversations with people because we don't speak with them. So how could we not? I'm speaking with you. I'll go and pull it aside and say, let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to be. We have to be
okay.
upright in our approach.
Let me take a call. Vibes FM caller.
Good morning, Mr. Kim, Mr. Coy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Mr. Leo, wherever he is, and Mr. Rulo. I'm back. And I thank you all so much for last week. I'm feeling much better today.
Great.
And Jojo, good morning to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my concern is what this lady just mentioned. The gentleman from Victoria, we're not hearing from him at all. If I had his number, I would have called him a long time ago.
Okay, well,
to find out if
let me give you an update. Let me give you an update now.
Thank you so much.
Somebody just messaged
I
me.
think his name is Mr. Fletcher.
No. Pastor Maki. Now he says, this person says, good morning. Pastor is okay. I asked about him last Sunday because he and my brother are very good friends. And he said that he was staying away from politics now and just on the low slide, So he's not going to get himself involved. He's on low key. He's low key right now. So he's okay.
Gentleman in Victoria.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Have you got his number?
I don't have his number, but you heard him a while ago, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I just come in.
No, he called us just about maybe 10, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
there's
God.
a nice
He's
conversation.
okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
he says,
yes,
and he says, he's taking it easy.
Lovely.
Right. But everything is fine. He made a nice contribution too.
Beautiful.
On the
He always does.
Okay, so we get some nice.
You all have a blessed day.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let me try to take some of the other calls waiting. First of all, landline come in. Cell calls wait. Hello? Caller? Hello? All right, let me try the other line. WhatsApp caller come in. WhatsApp caller? Yes, you're on now.
Morning, how are you?
Okay.
Good morning. Afternoon, no?
Yes, I mean, some of the callers, including Mr. Kyle, they keep repeating themselves over and over, saying the same thing over and over and over. And, you come like a recurring decimal. Right, okay, so far. Let me ask you something. I hope somebody could answer. Who write the King James Version of the Holy Bible?
There was not only one writer, there were several writers, because as you would be aware, as you know, the names of the book most times are written by is authored by, for example, the book of Matthew in the New Testament is written by Matthew.
Matthew?
Yeah.
So he that Matthew that write the King James Version of the Holy Bible? What the King James Version? Hold on, one minute. Isn't that translation?
No. We're talking about one book.
Oh, the book.
Yeah, the entire.
I'm talking about the King James Version of the Holy Bible. I'm not talking about a book. I'm talking about the Holy Bible.
Is there a King James Version?
Yeah, there is.
Is there a King James version?
What I'm saying, caller, hold on. Is a version as you might have like the English version or you might have in dictionaries, you might have the Oxford and the Cambridge and the whatever, just different versions. I mean, the interpretation or the material there is about the same, but there's sometimes different interpretations, you know. I don't want to get too much into this Bible talk.
No. Well, you see, I don't think we should shy away.
Okay.
We should discuss it. Yeah.
You had the Ethiopian Bible, you have the Hebrew Bible, and so forth. Let me ask you another question about the Ark.
Hold on, caller, hold on. You see, we need to discuss this. You asked me a question and we're giving an answer, and whether or not you agree with my answer or not, we're having a conversation, and that's what we need to have. Because I could learn from what you are saying, and I hope that you can learn from what I'm saying. So when I say the King James Version, let's talk about that. Is there a version?
I did finish with the King James Version about that long time, you know. I finished it.
You see, right. You see, not only you are the one speaking. We are having a conversation. And if I don't understand certain things, I ask, so do you. So I'm saying, don't let just rush it through and say and think the other person understands. So what we're doing here
is not rushing it, you know, because you speak about one thing. I talk about the King James Version of the Holy Bible. That is what the Christians are using in the Caribbean.
Right. So that therefore I am asking you based on my own understanding and would like to understand more. So when you say a version, what is the original? A version has to be a version of something. So I'm asking you, as we discuss this, is there an original that we can get a version from?
Well, what did they say that the Hebrew Bible, the translation from the Hebrew Bible? Is that so? Yeah, when of the first Bible written, what language it was written in?
So you see, you're asking me questions, and I'm asking you questions, and that's how we can understand and get and have this conversation. Yeah. So the fact that you said it, you asked me, you ask us when was the King James Version? Who wrote it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, think about it. A version. It must be something from the original or something else. Is King James? Hold on now. Is King James Version? He packed it together. Or they?
Well, are you saying no? We agree that the asking question who write it. If you don't have the answer, let's proceed.
Do you have the answer?
Huh?
Do you have the answer?
I don't have the answer. They're not asking the question because they think, okay, let's leave that there. And the next question is, Mr. Kim.
Yes.
Do you ever try to build a house with 4 people on top of a hill? How difficult it is?
Hold on. I don't think I quite understand. You know. Try to build a house, yes, with 4 persons.
Yeah. Say 4 people on top of a hill.
No.
And you never tried that, okay?
No.
Could you imagine Noah and his family building a house on the top of a mountain? Could you believe how tedious can that journey be? Because a mountain has to be a thing with a lot of trees, isn't it? Where they go pass through the trees with all this material to build this side of a boat to house all this animal, dog, cat, whatever it is. Could you? I mean, you know, when you sit down and you take a deeper look into it, something really is not right. To build an ark on the top of a mountain, knowing how difficult a mountain is. Pass you all these trees and things to go up on top of the mountain to build it. Where will he settle it? Where will he settle this thing to build it on top there?
There's always place on a mountain, you know, like you could have a plateau up there. You must find an area. I mean, that is not something we should really question. You know, if you climb a mountain, you know, there's land up there. You could do a building if you wish. You don't have to be the terrain should be a problem much. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, fair enough with your analysis, but it's so difficult.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It is difficult.
I hear you. All right, caller. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right.
Okay, landline caller coming. Landline caller coming. Thank you for waiting.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Very, very sorry to call it back, but I
No
need to call
problem.
it back.
We don't mind hearing you.
Talking about the version of the Bible. There are two versions of the Holy Bible. The King James Version is a product of a dispute between the church and the state. And the original version of the Bible was 72 books. With the dispute between the church and state, an order was made. And 6 of the books from the original version were removed. And the resulting version is known as King James Version. As a matter of fact, the King James Version is generally referred to as the Protestant Bible. Okay, then there are many editions of the Bible. I have Bible Home, the New Jerusalem Bible. I have the Catholic Revised version of the Bible. But the King James Version is the Protestant Bible of 66 books. And the other version of the Bible is 72 books. So let's put that to rest. These arguments are going to bring us nowhere.
Right.
But I want to point out something. As I look at Grenada right now, I am sad. When I look at the political landscape of this country, I see 2 hostile camps. One camp is known as the NDC, Patriots. The other camp is known as the NNP, Patriots. And there is no compromise between these 2 hostile camps. Camp A, Patriots, criticize the other side and would not even think of cooperating. The Camp B, criticize the other side and would not even think. And what we find is Grenada goes from left to right, from right to left, only criticizing. What Grenada needs are people who are neutral and focus on the country. Instead of being a patriot, let us be a patriot. So if Pat A does something good, say it's good. And if Party A does something not so good, ask to help correct the situation. Grenada needs patriots, not patriots. And I hope that God would intervene to help our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Patriots
and patriots.
Mm-hmm. And this is something that he used to tell us.
Yes, always used to talk about that.
Yeah, and it makes sense, because we are just, the division is so prominent. We're looking at it right now. I don't think it will ever come together because the motive and the aim of the, as he mentioned, the 2 parties, is to criticize, condemn, rather than converse.
Hostility.
No conversation.
Yes.
And I don't believe that would ever change,
But
it looks like a norm.
We don't. I mean, it's sad to say that, to come to that conclusion that it may not change. But that is the way we have to go. We have to learn to live with each other. I mean, this hostility that we like to sling and behave as though that the others shouldn't exist and the others shouldn't say things or believe things. We have to be. I think it's time for us to prepare for that period when we need to understand that we are all part of each other, connected.
I don't think that's going to ever materialize. I doubt it, because the whole idea of being there in charge is through criticism. If you don't do that, then you can't be at the top. So I believe that that will be around for a long, long time, sadly, and we just have to try and deal with it like anything else. Yeah, it's becoming like what they call a norm. Whenever you see the other side, you criticize the other side, and you don't compliment. You don't try to work together. And it's so important for us to get together, working together in the interest of everybody. But for some selfish reason, and for the fact that you want to stay in power, that is what you have to use. You have to use that avenue. Vibes FM, caller, come in. Let me take a call.
Yes, Mr. Mills, I beg your humble indulgences.
Yes, go right ahead.
Greetings to Mr. Marshall. It's a pretty long time I heard his voice.
Yeah.
As to his comment, rather interesting. I'd say patriot versus patriot. But this is just semantics in the pronunciation.
Right, yeah.
Let's go to the meat of the matter now, Mr. Wells.
Okay.
Mr. Mills. It can change. The current constitutional architecture is what permits what happens, Mr. Mills. And let's go straight. That's what I tell you. I really want to get some powerful debate on this here country. As you mentioned prior, we need to talk about the matters related to the future of the country now. Let's look at Section 58 of that pit latrine pamphlet of an imperial order in Council of the Queen's Most Excellent Majesty, Mr. Mills. After declaring in Section 57 the hypocrisy that the executive authority of Grenada resides in Her Majesty the Queen and may be executed or exercised, by the Governor General, Mr. Mills. Section 58 goes on to say, the morning, note, Mr. Mills, and this is what permits, that the morning after the elections, the people who were elected, duly elected as representatives of the constituency, but more significantly, as lawmakers, legislators, parliamentarians, members of the parliament, where the laws of the country are made and corrected and updated, they become executors, because Section 58 permits the so-called Governor General to transfer the authority of the executive into the same people. Tell me a lie now. A lie, Mr. Coy?
No, okay.
No, you catch me drift?
Yes.
So what do you find as therefore, brothers and sisters? You open the door with that to abuse. Because they are lawmakers, as recently established by the election, and then they become the executives. So they are the one that are, let's put it this way, they're ordering, they're buying, they're paying, they make their giving change. They're doing everything. They take full control. And this is why who wants to so in, so all he does is criticize the other one.
Right.
And a day comes that the other one gets in and he does the same, and nothing changes. Section 57 and Section 58 of this pit latrine pamphlet of the Imperial Order and Council of the Queen's Most Excellent Majesty must disappear. This is why we need a new constitution. We need separation of powers. I'll give you one final example why this abuse has to stop. Take a look at what is happening after the dumping. The dumping going up on the western side. What's the name of that place again?
Possibly, where's that?
Woodford.
Yes. Yeah.
Up to today, no one in this country who knows, no one knows, or it hasn't been stated, the population doesn't know, who gave authority to the building of that batching plant, concrete mixing plant, asphalt plant and crusher. Nobody knows. Neither the department responsible, the PDA, I think they call it, the Planning and Development Authority, they don't know. But the thing is happening. And it has to be happening, my dear brothers and sisters, because someone in the executive gave the authority, violating the laws establishing the PDA. Can a country go on this way, my brothers and sisters? Just check it out.
Yeah.
Why we need to reconstitute this country. For what it's worth. Thank you very much. You have a nice day, will you?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Said a lot of Vibes FM. Vibes FM. What's up, caller coming?
Hello.
Well, yes, come in, yeah.
Right. The King James Version. Now the Bible was written, as far as I understand, in Greek at first. Then up come what's the next one? Latin. Now, let's suppose the Bible was written in Spanish. The people in England don't know Spanish. They know English. So what happened there? King James had his writers to translate the language, okay, from Latin to English. And in doing so, they call it the King James Version. So if you're looking at the three books, Latin, Greek, and English, whatever is said in Latin or Greek, whenever it is translated to the other language, it should mean the same thing. Okay? The king was in charge at the time. They had the Church of England, and they wanted the Bible to be written in English. When I used to go to Catholic Church, the preachers used to speak Latin for us, and I couldn't understand Latin. Okay? I don't know if they still speak it, but at one time I know they were speaking English. So you find every tongue or language have a Bible. So in other words, you open a Spanish Bible, you're going to see it written in Spanish, Portuguese, yeah, Chinese, but all the words should mean the same. I think people are getting confused. Now, if you look at the original writing of the scripture, the Bible says, holy men of God, okay, were chosen by the Holy Ghost to write the Bible. If you look at John, John was in exile, and Jesus Christ appeared unto him, okay, and gave him the book of Revelation, to write. And when he reached a certain place, he said, stop and close the book, okay? Now, God used people on earth in those days to put the books together. You hear of scrolls that you're finding in the Dead Sea and all them places, and them, how the Bible was written before. But for me to have an understanding of what is before me, I only know English. Then if it was not in English at the time, you had to bring it in English for me to be able to read it. I think some people are getting confused by that. We know what happened in writing, the mess some people make with the Bible. Okay?
Yeah.
So and some people use the Bible for their own personal use or whatever. In slavery, what they did to keep the slave into subjection and whatnot. But let's not be confused. Every language on earth, the Bible is written in that. And we have to understand that.
Caller,
so it's not.
Let me ask a quick question. Hold on, yeah. Let me ask, because one caller mentioned before that the King James Version is 66 books, but he also mentioned 72 books that were in the original before.
Yeah.
You know anything of that? You have any idea if he's
I'm
saying?
I'm aware of the Bible had 120 books.
Okay.
If you listen, Pope, the one that died recently.
Yeah.
This Pope conformed to the world that they remove books from the Bible. It's them who bring it down to 66. But a lot of Catholics, devout Catholics, have 72 books in theirs. Okay?
Yeah.
So he said plain out. And he also asked the Christians to forgive them for what they did to them. Because they were the ones who went after those who preached what Jesus Christ taught. And they were the martyrs of the catacombs. The early Christians had to run. They had to live in caves and whatnot for their life. Because the church, the Roman church, was after them. The Pope that died there, he confessed and he asked for forgiveness. As a matter of fact, John Paul II made that confession also. So it is the Catholic that messed up the thing. But as I told one Rasta man, He was asking me for the Maccabees version. So I told him, you cannot eat the plate of food, but you want the whole pot. You cannot live by the 66 books you have, but you want the rest of the books. What are you going to do with it? The fact is, we read the Bible and we depend on the Spirit of God to lead us in understanding, not interpreting, because the Bible, the Scripture interprets itself. We seek the understanding of the Word of God. And that's where the Holy Spirit play his role in that. The carnal mind cannot understand the thing of the Spirit because he's carnal. Unless the mind is changed to the level of the Spirit, he cannot understand the things of the Spirit. And they turn and say, oh, the Bible is contradicted. You did not understand what you read. So my good partner who just speak about King James and King James and King James, he had to understand King James was the king in England in those days. If it was Queen Elizabeth and she wanted the Bible to be written in English, she would have done it. And they would have put it as her version. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
The people are right. What they say what they call it Bible class.
Bible study?
Bible study Thursday. But I mean, no, I mean I don't want to make it as though it's something not important. But it's important. Again, the issue of having a conversation. And Kim, we have to learn as a people to converse with each other. We can't go around saying I like you, I like you, and talking to you, and we want to understand things as a community. Yeah. We have to speak to each other. I mean, you know, sometimes we have to lose. We have to what? What the song says? Sometimes we have to lose to win.
Lives FM. Landline caller coming.
Hello, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Interesting. I'm just listening to the program. I don't know if you have a particular topic, but I was listening to the last caller, and it's so correct. But what I want to say this, that man, the basic teachings of the Bible is straightforward. Man interprets it and want to do what they want because, of course, man is a rebellious creature since the fall. So everybody wants to say, well, I do it this way and I do it this way. The word of God is straightforward. There's only one way to get to God. We could go all wrong, St. George's, Grenada, Boggles, wherever in Carriacou, Martinique, wherever in the world. It doesn't matter. And one thing I must say again, man has no excuse. I'm saying we didn't get it this way and we didn't get it that way, and whether it's King James Version or the Sputnik version or the what version and what version, the word of God is straightforward. And nobody would not, well, I wouldn't say nobody would not. Nobody would be able to understand the scripture without the Holy Spirit directing them. And that's what the scripture said. The Holy Spirit will direct you and will teach you and make you understand. But of course, man is rebellious. We don't want to. And the onus is on us. When we get over there, we can't look at anybody and blame anybody. Everybody on their own. Whether you have your husband, your wife, your children, it's not a group. One person standing before the master and answer. He is the judge, the jury, the lawyer, the everything. No excuse. And that's it. Yeah. And if you don't want to abide by the teaching of the Bible and you're quarreling about whether it's King James Version or what version and who version, the basic principles is straightforward. It is straightforward. You don't have to go all around the world to get it. It's straightforward, but we're just rebellious. Let's look at it. Mankind is rebellious. Mankind does not want to acknowledge what God says to do. But the good thing is, at the end of it, the word of God says, every knee going to bow, every tongue going to confess. And that's it. Now, the thing I want to say, I listened to Mr. Rollo. He's into constitution, the constitutional aspect of our country. I have a constitution here, and it's true. What Mr. Rollo doesn't understand is that unless we have a different constitution, we are abiding by the one we have. So I listened to him saying about the so-called Governor General. According to my constitution, I didn't see the so-called Governor General. I saw the Governor General. And if he's to be a leader, an instructor, a teacher to the young ones, I would advise him not to say the so-called Governor General. He may not like the terms and conditions of the Constitution we have. I myself, when I read it, I said to myself that is not a constitution for the people, we the people. But that is what we have right now. And we are working according to that right now until such time as we change it, as we tried to make referendum and all kind of nonsense, but it wasn't the people's choice. Until we reach thus far, we just abiding by what it says, what it allows us to do, what it dictates for the ruling of our tri-island state. He may not like it. A lot of us, we are subjected to King Charles of England and this and that and the other. But at the moment, Mr. Rolo, we cannot do anything about it until we have it changed. So that's the idea. And for us to have it change, we have to go back again and get the people's voice, the people's choice, the people's this and the people's that. So I would advise him, that's what we have. He should not say so-called this and so-called that. Or young people I listen to. And as a senior who, in my mind, seems to be versed in the Constitution, I think he should be a little more prudent in his presentation. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you so much as well, too.
Yeah, Carla, thank you. That's what a conversation does. That's what a conversation does.
Yeah.
You know, different views, different ideas, doesn't matter. But having a conversation is key to starting the process of relationship, relating to each other. Learning to think as well. Learn to think as well, because we have to analyze and assess what others are saying. Yeah.
It's a process. Vibes FM, caller?
Mr. Mills, your indulgences?
Yes.
I thought
Go
so.
right
I
ahead.
thought
With
so.
all
I
due
thought so.
respects to the woman,
Yes.
the lady, the previous caller.
Yeah.
But when I say, quote unquote, so-called, I am not being slanderous, libelous, disrespectful. The word so in the English language has 7 synonyms, one of which is thus. So if I refuse to say so-called, I say thus referred to. It's the same thing. The word ergo, E-R-G-O in Latin, which is used in the English language, also means therefore. Therefore, and ergo are also synonyms. So I can say ergo named. What's wrong with that? What's vulgar about that? What's obscene and vain about that? Go pick your dictionary up and read and understand. There is something I remember when I was young and when I started to do Latin in about secondary school in the 1960s. It went like this. Ego lego. Ergo disco. Pay attention to me, write it down. Ego lego. E-G-O, which means the Latin word for I, by the way. We speak of egoism.
Egoism.
You get the drift, Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ego lego. Lego from the word legare, to read. I read, therefore I learn. That is why I talk. When I talk, because you don't understand what I say, because you don't even know your language, you want to criticize me. What's vulgar? What's vain? What about that? Go and read and learn. Thank you very much for what is worth, Mr. Mills. Don't pick on me here.
Okay.
Oh, Silas Nirolo. Good day.
Let me just
Ergo.
Yeah, let me just change. We have a guest in the studio. Let me just change it for a while and say good morning to you, Mr. McLeod.
Morning, Kiriki. Morning. How you doing?
How are you doing, man?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Well, I see you're smiling just like we are, you know.
You have to give thanks and praise all the time, you know.
Yeah.
For all the muscles that we have.
Yeah. We've been a lot of muscles have been thrown on us.
Yeah, no. There's a lot to smile. Honestly, I mean, But there's a lot to smile about. There's a lot to smile
we
about.
started our discussion this morning talking about preparation for the hurricane season.
Yeah.
And we go through it, then you hear from time and time the conversation, goes the other way. Whatever, but as you are here now, and I know you're just visiting for a short time, but your heart is always there, your mind is always there, your body just someplace else, right? And you think, what are you thinking? What have you seen in your observations, over the last week or so?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that has happened. There is still a lot more to do. We can't get away from that here, but there's such a massive change that has taken place, because I remember I was here again in last November.
Yeah.
Last November. So from last July when the hurricane to November, I saw a massive improvement, and then from November to now, an even bigger improvement. As I said, we can't get away from the fact that there's still a lot of damages and stuff still that hasn't taken place, and people still needing the houses and stuff repaired and thing. But there's, for me, as I said, I can see a lot has happened positively. I'm talking about a lot of positive changes taken place. I mean,
and if you look at the time factor, though, I mean, it's a short time. We sometimes, because when we want things done, we want it done right away. And a day seems to be 10 years or maybe 100 years.
I tell you what, Kim, this morning I was having a conversation with this guy here, and he said to me that after the hurricane, he was looking at 5 years for us to get back to where we were here. And I mean, as you rightfully say, it's not even a year. But we've made, as I said, massive gains.
Yeah.
As I said, it's difficult. I think it's difficult to see it when you're here. You may not see it as easy as someone else looking in, because it's always easier when you're looking in to see the changes that's taking place than when you're actually in the process. But no, trust me, there's a lot that has happened. In a positive way.
And we still know there's a lot to go.
There is. I mean, and I mean, a lot of people have been traumatized and stuff like that, and that's not going to go away anytime soon.
Because we started off, Koi, by talking and saying this morning, that we noticed the wind,
last few days
and from the time we hear wind, we start associating it with burial, hurricanes.
But it was a bit strong, though.
So it's not burial then?
No, not yet.
No. By the way, there will never be a storm or hurricane rather called burial again, because of
the retired. The name was retired.
And I'm saying that to say, for this season, the one that replaced burial is Barbara.
Okay.
And we had Hurricane Barbara doing some work in Trinidad with all the floods you've been seeing, and Tobago. So that is our neighbors, and they say when the neighbor house on fire,
but what sort of drew my attention is that you're speaking about Trinidad, who's to the south of us, right? And normally the pattern of the waves coming out from Africa, and they're coming across the Atlantic, they usually
go a bit higher
north.
Yeah.
But look how south this one is. Missed us, the wave, way under Grenada into Trinidad, and so it's kind of scary me now to think that you see, they sort of drop the pattern. I hope not.
Yeah.
Is going south,
rather
than north.
But a similar thing with Bear, the approach was more to the north of us. And it dropped. That where we were in the direct line of fire. It was to our north. Barbados. I
remember trying to track it.
And the Winod Islands, I mean the Grenadines, Carriacou, and little top of Grenada. That is the pattern. That happened last year, but now, well, of course, Barbara is on the to our south, and let's see what happens. We can go there in the Atlantic and direct the wind.
Yeah, you can't.
So we have to prepare for wherever it goes. And once we realize we are in the line of fire.
Well,
batten down the hatches.
We very well know we're in the hurricane zone, you know, and that's been established for the longest while. So again, we spoke about preparation, and this is something that we need to pay a lot of attention to, preparing ourselves.
But I think you that mentioned earlier that like in the past people never took it seriously, and they need, or people generally now need to start taking things. But listen, Kim, I remember my mom talking about Hurricane Janet, and the fact that what they went through with Hurricane Janet, and it was always in me to prepare for hurricanes. So anytime there's any name storm, I always get prepared. Once I'm here, I'll get prepared, because from their memory of Janet, you don't want to get caught out, you know. So I mean, I think some of us kind of dropped the ball a little, but we need to
not a little enough. You just drop the ball.
But as you said, Mr. McLeod, you know, in that the idea and the talk of it when we were growing up was very scary.
Yeah.
And sometimes we hear there's a hurricane, we all start to panic because of what we heard them said before took place in Janet. That we don't want to experience that at all. So anytime anything happening, any wind blowing, any rain falling, anything of the nature, we start.
And then the thing is, back then, remember, it was only radio we had. So when they like, for example, the head teacher get the news that there's a storm coming, they'll then send us home and say, well, listen, storm is coming, so you guys need to, you know. But now we have the technology, you know,
you actually see the storm coming.
But as well as I remember one time we at school, and the police, I think it was, drove to the school, you know, was on a bike, I think it was Bishop, whoever, and he came and he spoke to Mr. Bascom, and we were wondering, well, what taking place, you know. And after he left, Mr. Bascom called an assembly, and he started walking up and down the corridor and start preaching to us, you know, that there is a hurricane, whatever, prepared, and they're going to send us home early in the day and telling us what to do, what not to do, and things like that. And that was our way of knowing. And then as kids, hearing our parents passing through Janet, the fright and all that just took place right away. We see us from school running home. And looking out, and anytime you hear, see the rain falling, or you know, you start wondering, well, when it's coming or what's next. So, you know, but preparation
is key.
No, and we have better coverage in media to know exactly what's going on, so we could, you know, not be caught by surprise. But still, the hurricanes now, like we experienced last year, Beryl was, I would say, maybe in a class by itself.
Now, when you see the destruction, as I said, I said, being away and looking in and seeing what's happening, and then I think that one of the biggest challenges for us that sort of not an island, is not being able to make contact. So you would have spoken to someone, let's say, hours before the actual hurricane,
and you don't hear anything
and then after that, no communication, and you think
that is what it is.
And that is where for us, as I said, that's where one of the problem was. You just don't know what's going on,
because each and every one we're calling one another and saying, did you hear anything? Are you in touch with anybody? Did you speak to this person? You find out what transpired, you know.
But that guy that did that storm chaser guy that stayed at Georgia Andrew and did thing. I mean, I think he was a good help. Yeah, that was really
that was excellent.
Good, because even sometimes just seeing the videos with people and you're thinking, people
still around.
It's man.
Yeah, but let's hope that this season is going to just bypass us.
Well, let's hope it misses us.
And get a chance to continue the building process. The recovery process is going to take a few years as well. There's no if about it, you know. And we need time to really get ourselves prepared again, just in case. But we have no control over Mother Nature.
No, not at all.
There's nothing we could really do there, but preparation, I believe, is the only thing we could try to do and get it to the best, you know. So just in case.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, we're talking about preparation. What are some of the things that we consider we definitely have to do in the process of preparing for the hurricane?
Well, you mentioned earlier about family and the plan, having the plan and following the plan and stuff like that. So that, I mean, that everyone, they should have a plan in terms of how, if and when the storm comes, what should we do? So as you say, if somebody stand by the door, somebody stand by the window, whatever the case may be. But I think one of the other things that sometimes I think people get caught off to is documents. Because I remember they used to say to us that we need to protect our documents. So whether it's in a white bucket or something that's a sealable container that water wouldn't be able to get into, and you take care of your documents, because I think a lot of people would have lost their important documents with due to water and stuff like that. I remember we used to get tape and tape down them the glass, the windows and stuff like that. I mean, if you could bar off with I suppose with ply or whatever, you do that. But I mean, I think Beryl to me has taught us that where you think might be safe may not always be safe. I mean, Mount Pleasant School, Dover School,
shelters. Approved shelters.
Yeah, but let's hope that some of the rebuilding that's taken place.
Well, Mount Pleasant School is again a shelter, approved shelter.
And I saw
the house next door.
Yeah, which people, is also a shelter. And I think, I mean, in all fairness, all the other shelters, as I said, they withstood the test of time, so they should be.
But as one caller mentioned earlier on, though, in that the shelters, not only shelters, but information coming out now to the public should be coming as quick as possible, because right now people still asking me where are the shelters.
Okay.
And it's because it has not been said maybe enough in different ways of communicating with the public. Because I want to think that in many instances the organizations feel that coverage or information going out on like Facebook and these other media platforms.
It's not the only.
And that's not the only way. No. Because a lot of people sometimes not on those platforms to know, especially the older folks,
But Scheme, I mean, one of the funny things here, sometimes, yes, we embrace technology and we think technology is a very good. We know technology is a very good thing, yeah. But sometimes the old-time ways of communicating is also pretty good. So that just going around with a loudspeaker.
Yeah.
Take your time and just drive around. It's another way, and it's a basic way to get information.
I think it's effective, because you in your home and you hear the loudspeaker around. What are talking about there? So you could have a conversation on that. If you didn't hear it clearly, somebody who heard it. I think that and so on. So I'm just that is still an effective way as far as I'm
It's simple, but I think it's very, very effective.
That was the way that we used to communicate in the past. I remember whenever you hear the PA system coming through the village, you jump outside to stand up and to be, you listen to what they're saying.
You forget before you had PA, you had the donkey back.
Yes,
people.
Who yet tell the others?
Right.
Who yet tell the others?
So we sort of moved away from some of the basics.
Which sometimes the basic is more effective.
Yeah.
Than, I'm not saying don't do the Facebook and the whatever social media that you have, but go back to the basics. The basic has been proven over time to work.
And one of the things I think that is lacking too, in our society, is the absence of or presence, if you want to say too, the other way around, of radios.
Yeah.
We don't have much of that now. I remember, in the days gone by, that was your only way of getting information.
Yeah.
And you listen to your radio almost 24/7.
Yeah.
And now we don't have much of that again, because everybody depends right now on the phones, tablets, and things like that. And you have to have the means of linking on with those devices.
By you saying radio, people may not understand what you mean, because
that's what I've gone out of it.
No, you mean the physical radio where you could tune. Right. Because I'm saying because you can pick up your radio on the phone, but that's not what. That's not what.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
But these are all things, again, we're talking about preparation. But to me, when I think about preparation, I believe the first thing we should try to get into our heads is preparing our minds for what can come, what could be.
Mentally,
you have to be mentally prepared before you start putting the documents away.
Understand.
Yeah. Because that is key, because if we don't come to that mindset, then whatever we're trying to do may not be enough or may not be appropriate.
Okay.
Before we move forward, let me take a call there and give the callers a chance. 5 FM caller, line 9 caller, come in.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I just want to chime in my little piece because I believe that you all are overlooking the base for the problem, electricity. So you could pick up the radio. Kim station may have a generator, so it may stay on for a little while. But people will run to shelters and so. You need electricity to charge your phone, because if you keep listening to the radio, your charge will go down, your battery will go down, and you need your phone to make calls and so. So I am not hearing you all explaining how to handle it in the absence of electricity. I would have thought that Grenadians have learned now in the hurricane package to get a hurricane radio. So the hurricane radio, it also has light. It can charge with the sun and so on. And so you can listen to radio stations. And those hurricane radios are from $10 up online. They're fairly cheap. But I believe people are overlooking that part, that area, yes?
Yeah.
So in a little jokey way, you all are talking about radio like a thing of the past, but radios, the actual physical radio, they should be part of your hurricane kit, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why somebody have invented them, because they see the need for them. Wherever you run, you have your little hurricane radio in your bag. And these days, as I say, they're so versatile. They have flashlight, they have floodlights on them, they have siren in case you lose, you know where you are, you put on your siren. So I would like to hear that little area, that little part be encouraged, that as people pack their emergency kit, they get a hurricane radio. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. And as I caller just mentioned, one of the things that came in very handy around burial time is that when it comes to charging phones, I had the power banks. I had a couple of power banks, and that was able to keep me there for a little while. But something I find, I think that should be put into preparation to, when we're getting ready, is the solar lights, because that was a big plus as a replacement of electricity, of lights too, because right now we don't have situations where we have this sort of kerosene lamps like we used to have in the past and things like that we could have for a while. But the solar lights now, you get your power during the day, and then during the night, you get some light. And even some of the solar lights too would have charging ports, so you could, piggyback a little bit.
We're advancing.
Vibes FM caller, come in. Line 9 caller. Caller?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Kim.
Yes, good afternoon, yes.
I got a question.
Yeah.
And maybe a follow-up. At this moment, do you know if there is any containers sitting around people's home that has been used for taking... Do you know if there are any containers that are sitting around homes right now in Caracol?
Containers, not to my knowledge. I don't think so. I'm just thinking.
Because earlier you all spoke about containers that flew around. In other words, if there is any that's still there, they should make sure that those are secure by whatever means possible, so that you don't become a flying object.
Yeah.
Certainly,
that's one of the lessons that we have to take away from.
Because what I noticed too, a couple of containers too. Even we spoke about the one in Bel Air. We spoke about the one in Dover. But I saw one in Leicester as well too. Just around the area by the school, that was moved off the base completely.
So that is something they should look into, to make sure they don't become mobile on its own. Well, not on its own, but by wind.
Yeah. Yeah, caller.
Yeah.
We should take every necessary
Tim, one more
precaution.
thing.
Yeah.
Also, with regards to electricity, if you lost it, for the cell phone users, you can acquire a power bank that is battery operated.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I never was even aware of that type.
Okay.
But yeah, I know that I have the ones that we charge. Yeah, because I have a couple of them, and I keep them handy all the time. And also my
So
solar light.
you're good to go in case of loss of your normal electrical source.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay,
Okay,
caller.
guys, have a good day.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you so much.
caller, thank you.
And
Thank you.
another thing people lapsed last time around too, which I think is something so important, is that those who have generators had a problem of not being able to get fuel to keep those generators running.
So we had to store.
So basically, the generator, was not serving its purpose.
He was there, but he was not just. He can't work because he can't throw water in it.
Right. So what we need to do now, have a adequate supply of fuel to last. To last, even though it's about a week.
Well, yeah,
and
I
you
mean,
could use it sparingly.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no way we could say that we did not know. We have to get ourselves ready. The generators. We might not be able to get one now, but at least we might be able to know where we can access one.
Well, there's quite a number of folks, who have generators now as compared to before burial. And I think the numbers would grow from time to time because people realize the necessity and they could use it for other purposes besides, times like hurricane. So, I believe one could invest, or maybe you got one from NADMA, as a contribution, you should be able to use them and keep them in working condition with fuel, with fuel available.
Because you could have them and you have fuel.
You don't have any fuel.
Mechanisms.
But this is all in preparation again.
Yeah.
To make sure that we are on par. Because if we don't, and if the same thing occur, we end up back in square one. We didn't learn a lesson.
And we keep saying, the impact of any disaster or hurricane is not only the time it's happening. After. After when we realize, boy, I can't move. That's what the pain is. So not only when it passes, the time. But we also, and that is what preparation does. It helps you to go beyond the actual reality, so that you won't stay hungry for 5 days. So it is. Agreed. You also, Kim, that is a mentality that we have to have. We have to change our mindset and say, no man, nothing will happen. I'm safe. And so I see some people walking around as though they're untouchable.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I mean, come on.
But from those who have experienced, and the shock is very, very, very dangerous.
I think they'll be ready this time.
You think so?
At all,
No,
I know. Well, I mean,
they should be, but people are people. we should be in truth, but boy, we always find.
So what we need to do now, again, like I said in the beginning, is make sure that we put that plan together. And we've been speaking about plans, and every household or every person, wherever, should have a plan to make sure that they could survive and they know exactly what the next move is.
Yeah, where next to go.
Where next
something.
to go. Because I know for sure what I need to do in case we have a situation like that again. There's no if about it. I know definitely whatever is in place, where to find what, and
talking about plan. I recall during the Hurricane Ivan, where I was located at the time, and talking about plan. So them guys around there say, well, listen, they say hurricane coming. Let's go make our oil down. And them guys just went and get some wood and a pot and thing. That was their preparation for it. Eat. You know what I mean? So well, these things are so interesting, but we have to genuinely.
Sometimes people are traumatized.
Yeah.
Vibes FM, caller, come in. Caller, no. What happens? Sometimes the ideas and what is can happen, whatever.
Potential, yeah.
Yeah, it's sometimes true in a different mood altogether.
Have your last meal.
Yes,
Eat a good food.
That's it. Well, and gosh, man.
Boy, it's bad. But anyway, I think we have learned a lesson last year, and I think that lesson is gonna be, these.
But I think what I mean. Well, I think one of the critical thing that's needed, now and going forward though, is counseling. And I think people need to embrace the idea of counseling, and don't just see it for whatever negatives. I know a lot of times we don't like to talk.
That's the problem.
But I think it will help a lot of people get over the trauma of what they went through.
So yes, okay. So as you mentioned, one of the things that we need is counseling. So we have to get our counselors sharp. We have to prepare counselors now to come out on duty. As it were.
Just take a pin for a minute. Vibes FM caller, come in.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to hail out Mr. Marshall from Victoria. I heard him about a week or 2 weeks ago on GBN, and because there was a lull between us and whatnot, and I was concerned because I can't move about as much as I should. But if he's listening at this time, I wish him all the best and hope everything is okay with him. Thank you very much.
Okay, right.
Okay, my brother.
Getting back to counseling. This is something that we sometimes, sort of like slide. Very, we don't pay much attention to it. And as you mentioned, the MacLeod, isn't that sometimes people don't want to speak. And it's so good to vent sometimes, because sometimes that could be the cure, Just getting someone to speak with, and letting them know what's happening with you. And maybe at the end of the day, something never happened, but just because you got into the mood of just expressing yourself, if you start feeling better.
Yeah. I mean, I think with all we're saying, I think a lot of has to do with confidentiality also.
Yeah.
That you want to know that when you
vent.
Yeah.
When you vent, you don't go in the wrong place. I know what you mean. Yeah.
But yeah, I think counseling is so important. It's not. I mean, it's not just for hurricanes. It could be having other challenges. It could be having financial challenges. As an example, you have financial challenges and you need to speak to. So I mean, I just say financial,
right,
just
yes,
as an
example. Yes.
Yeah. And you can actually speak to someone to get over whatever or help you through what you're going through. So yeah, I think we need to get more comfortable with the idea of counseling and being counseled.
And being counseled. That's the point. Sometimes we don't like to be counseled.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned earlier on, the idea of confidentiality and privacy.
Yeah.
They go together.
Yeah.
Because people are sometimes very, 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 confined in whatever they're doing and so private about everything that they don't want to speak. And but if they speak now, they feel if I were to tell you now, Jack would hear it tomorrow, and I'll be embarrassed. So this is where now we have to develop the right attitudes and know exactly how to deal with situations. And people must know, well, I trust you, enough to confide in you. But that's part of preparation as well, too,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But we sometimes just ignore all these things, and then when it happens, then we end up in a situation where we can't.
Yeah, it's too late.
We can't deal with it.
I guess we can all remember that phrase. If I did know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we live all our lives with on that. If I did know, yeah, we should know.
Yeah.
If I did know, we should know, and that's part of what we're talking about: preparation. What you need. things. I mean, I don't think last year this time we'd have been speaking about preparation in this manner. As we speaking now, in the sense that because we have we have had the experience with burial. Yeah, I'm talking about the most recent. We can prepare ourselves now much more adequately to meet whatever we don't even know what is going to come, but we're preparing for it.
Remember one time people used to say, God was a grenadier.
I'm glad was a going to see another kayak.
Nothing wouldn't. But I think the timeline in which, let's say for Carriacou as an example, where 1955 was Janet, and then 2024 was burial. That's a long time, and so that's a lot of generations that only hear about. You hear about burial, or it sort of die out through. Ivan, and Emily,
Janet. Yeah, all the young people of those days, of our times, would have heard only just hear about Janet, but now they get the real McCoy.
Yeah.
And so we have to keep on reminding ourselves of what is possible and what we need to do.
But it's not just on that. I think also, if what they're saying that they're going to get stronger and more frequent,
intense, and already, already they have said for this year it's above average, same as last year. No, with all this being said, and with all this knowledge and understanding, don't you think we should be prepared maximum?
Listen, you can all you can do is try. All you can do is just try, because the storms and the high rainfalls and stuff isn't just affecting, let's say, the Caribbean islands and stuff like that. If you look at what's happening internationally, so what is in the US of A, or in Italy and Spain and those places like that, there's a lot happening, or Australia, there's a lot happening all over the globe, whether Pakistan, there's so much happening,
Well, it's all because of climate change, right?
Well,
that
is one of the
issues I think we're
global
dealing with
warming.
right now. Global warming has made
the sea becoming much hotter, and they say the storms love that condition.
Yeah, ideal conditions.
It's like a pig playing in the mud. Yeah. And they like it. Yeah. So again, it cannot be overemphasized. Prepare ourselves for whatever can happen, whatever may happen. I know the thing is, with that kind of mindset, it's not only preparing for a hurricane, because any disaster, any disaster, we have to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, but I think something that you mentioned earlier, Koi, too, is the fact that you need to check on your neighbor and check on on everyone, and just keep an eye out for people.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad in truth when you don't do it, and when the moment comes for the hurricane, you have to run to them still.
Yeah.
You can't play brave and say I ain't going there. So it's all part of the process building. It should be a way of life. Preparation should be a way of life.
Vibes FM, caller, come in.
Yes, I'm calling to share an experience with you all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I experienced 3 major hurricanes. Janet, Ivan, 4 you could say. Emily wasn't that bad, and Beryl. When I was 6, Janet passed. And I was in the hurricane in the storm for the whole night. And that is where I recognized God, although I didn't really understand. And I could remember a lady living in our community. When you pass Baptist Cross, a little way up, and they used to call her Tinin, and she had a little broken down house, and she alone lived. And hurricane destroyed all the big churches in Carriacou, and it didn't do nothing to that old lady house. And then I could have said, well, it's God that spared her life. The hurricane take me. I was living in Brunswick in the back, bunging with Bob Adams and them land was all land where Saddam Gilly house give for John. And I was living there with my great grandmother. And I find she was old, so I didn't want to stick up with her. So I stick up with a cousin of mine from Leicester. She name was Magna. I think she's Pauline the mother, but that's my cousin. She was by her sister, and when the sister house fall, we came out, and she hold her niece's hand, and I was holding her dress. And I know she stumble and fall. And Jason tell her, look at the girl fall, pick her up. She just leave me there and she go. And the wind take me and bring me quite in Prospical in the back on the hill. And I don't know how I reached there, but I had a dream. And a dream that I know we used to sleep under a bed with a poster, and we used to pull down the sheet, the curtain around the bed. And I dreamed that I was cold and thin, and I pull in, and I start pulling ratchet. And when I get the juke, I get up. And what I saw was my grandmother coming to rescue me. And I get up and I run into her. And I see nothing but a flashlight like shining me and me shining somebody's yard. And when I reach in the yard, maybe about 4 o'clock, the dog was barking. And the man say he going out somebody outside because he had child crying. So your wife asked him, how you could hear somebody in all this storm? That was, no, you can't hear a child crying, but he come and he rescue me. But is God that sent an angel as my grandmother to guide me to that, and the angel guide me to the man yard. And I had a bad cut. And from that, I realized God cured it. Water was my cure. I could have get about 8 or 9 stitches. I have the mark on my foot still. But in 3 days' time, the cut cure. So that is when I realized it have a God. And I put my trust in it. Then come Ivan. But you're saying that when you counsel people, they'll be traumatized. Every time September month reach and I hear thunder, I just out of the wall. I'm not there, as if I'm dying. And only September month I used to be frightened so far. But since Ivan come in July, when July month come, I just be traumatized. And I don't know what will happen with burial, but you could get all the counseling. That experience you have is always in you. So you could get all the talking. Not everybody that doesn't be traumatized when a hurricane passing. And I know what I went through because I could remember Granny Joseph, Uncle Dan had a shop right in there. And when the person that rescued me didn't even know me and know where I'm from, but God sent somebody there to bring me home the next morning. And he tell me, Joel, you know that no, you'll never have to dead again. So I go through hurricane, and I know hurricane is something bad. And I just dream one thing happening. We had a bad earthquake in January month, and I had a dream, not a dream, a vision. I see that the map of Grenada come up in front of me. And Sauter's path come out of the map 3 times and come back. And I was in church in a funeral. And when that earthquake passed, what I do, I run from my life because I say that we're getting out of disaster. So I know God is real. And I could tell everybody that because I have experience with him. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much, Chef, for sharing the experience here.
Yeah.
That caller, what I gather from there, I'll tell you, in that, no, when the wind is blowing, you'd find people reacting now. Like I said, over the last couple of days, people are listening to the wind and wondering. I get quite a number of calls, and they say to me, Kim, is anything out there? They start asking questions. Even sometimes some of the pets
Yeah.
They react as well too. Yeah. Because they know what they went through, and whenever they see this kind of thing happening now, they're still in this despair, in fright of trying to see if they could go and protect themselves. So again, not only we trying to adapt ourselves and counsel ourselves, but there's so much that we sometimes revisit when we see signs. We just can't help it. As scholars mentioned, when September month come, she had it turned down. It puts you in a different sort of mindset,
As to talk about that, when she ended thunder, but we also have to play. There are some people who are stronger than others, and when these things happen, we have to try and give support, emotional support. Because if they gone berserk, that could affect you too in the storm. Because you have to protect yourself and so on. So I'm just saying we should also see ourselves as being there to help those who can't stand. And it's difficult. It's difficult. I'm saying we when you find someone who don't have the energy, don't have the power, don't have the ability to withstand those things, and we can, no matter. Let's play our part. As I said earlier on, also, this is part of our civic duty, to look after our neighbors and friends. Yes, part of our civic duty as citizens. That's what we all are, citizens.
So let me ask your opinion on this. In that, if you were to get some sort of a warnings, from the city Met Office or maybe NADMA, of some wave or something approaching the area, you believe that people are going to be, taking it serious enough as to?
Yeah, but I think. Well, I mean, as I said, I'm just an outsider, sort of looking in though. But because it was as you say, category 4 going on, and you think it's a category 5 here.
Yeah.
Then if it's just a wave here, then people won't be bothered that much because they've gone through something a lot stronger. So I think where people would start becoming worried is if it coming up to, like, say, there's a category 4 hurricane coming.
Well, I think, whatever the category is.
Whatever it is.
Whatever the category is. It would be of great concern.
Yeah.
It would be of great concern because you see the ones developing the 2s and 3s and 4s down the line, and even the waves, would turn into the storms, like and once you hear storm, it's the winds.
Well, storm. If you hear storm, okay, but if you hear hurricane,
but still,
I think it's monitoring. I think it's well, I would monitor and keep on top and see what.
But some of the things I've discovered over the years is that because the system, the Met Office and NADMA and so on, may say, well, this is likely to happen, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, people discount it. Yeah,
people say, well, nah, man, I can't trust them. But I mean, all they could do is predict, give you an idea of what is likely to happen based on what they see happening.
Yeah.
But people take that and say, well, boss, all you know what are you saying? All you know what? Come on. I mean, we should be glad that it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
But yet we also want to find something to blame. Yeah, we always want to find something to do. And even though it's in our interest, then what they say. But
you're right.
We need to put those things aside and take it step by step. The storm is here, and it says that the projection is likely to pass our way. Don't say no. It ain't coming, because that would defeat your whole purpose.
Yeah. Hold a second. Let me just try to take a call there. Vibes FM caller line. What's up, Colorado? Come in. Caller.
Hey, how you doing, Kim?
Hey, what's up? All right, okay.
Good. Junior George here. How things?
Not bad at all. Okay, Junior, right along. Junior, before you even say anything, I still looking at yesterday, what transpired on your program. It's very interesting, very, very interesting.
Oh, Oh man, it's always some unpredictability sometimes, and so how we twist, how the plot ended up is not how I thought it would have, but it was a very interesting conversation nonetheless. Interesting program. Interesting conversation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you in Grenada? Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. I'm in Spice right now. Kim, often. Yeah, I had to come back and get rechristened every couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So how thing? Just let me call and hail everybody up in Carriacou.
Well, Carriacou is fighting back, and I hope that you're going to visit Carriacou before you go back, because come and see the progress we have made based on what transpired last July 1st. We have come a long way back and on the way to doing better than we did before, and hoping that this year will be we're going to get a little pass and keep on going on the same trajectory. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Because I know you have Carriacou in mind. I mean, from ever. I mean, Junior come to the end.
Carriacou is amazing,
all the time.
Yeah. Well, I plan to come to Carriacou. I'm planning with the team to see if we could get some tuk-tuks and some e-bikes out there.
Yeah.
Get some folks around. So it's still in the planning stage. We have not yet finalized it, but hopefully by this and say tomorrow, so we'll have a good estimation as to who's coming and how much tuk-tuks we're gonna come up there with. But we definitely want to come up there, give folks a nice little tour of Carriacou. And feel the presence there in this style. That that's where our heart is, man. We love it, and there's so many people, Kim. There's so many people every time I want to ride along that look on from Carriacou. It's amazing. So you have to come and show the love and come and show the support in Carriacou.
Definitely, and what you have done too, especially coming to with the tuk-tuks and the e-bikes, it's a form of relaxation for people, exercise. And for them to sort of put themselves back together,
Absolutely.
That's so important to us, We sometimes ignore those little things, that make a difference in our lives. And you're
absolutely.
So looking forward. I'm telling you, we're holding you.
Yeah. As I said, we're in that stage right now where we're just finalizing the plan, and hopefully everything works out well. So we could, be up there and show folks, because Carriacou has been asking me for a long time, Kim, when are we going to bring tuk-tuks in Carriacou, and not just send up tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
I mean, have tuk-tuk base there.
Yeah.
People have been calling and asking. Again, one step at a time, and this is certainly something that we're working on. And I could guarantee you before the end of the year, we'll have a permanent home in Carriacou there, where we'll have tuk-tuks and we'll have excursion. Even the water bike, Kim.
Yeah.
People have been asking so much about that, because that's a form of relaxation, and we want to give people back that relaxation to go on the beach and even bring people into Carriacou to just experience all of these great things in Carriacou. So we're working on getting a lot of stuff done, and I could guarantee you before the end of the year, or possibly before the end of September, we should have all of our excursion services in Carriacou, including the bikes, the tuk-tuks, and we've been speaking a lot about the water bikes as well.
Yeah.
And all of the services that we provide at Ride.
And we have the seawater, which is key, for the water bikes, and that's all we really need, because we have the right conditions that would support
Absolutely.
that.
But Paradise Beach is number one.
Yeah.
Paradise Beach is number one, and you know that. So it would be nice to add that addition, to the experience.
Right.
I said a lot of people, even from Grenada, they come to the beach and they experience it, and they say, oh, so why don't we have this in Carriacou? But again, I said you have to take one step at a time. And I think, as I said, before the end of the year, we're going to have all of those services there, because we definitely need to expand it into the style as well.
Well, I have a lot of confidence in you. I know that you have Carriacou in your mind all the time, so I'm not worried whether it's going to come to fruition or not. It will.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I give it a green stamp right away.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you, Kim, personally for all the assistance as well, because there haven't been a day or a program that I'm past and you call me and give me your critical advice. So most of the time it's good, and some of the times it's constructive that I could learn from, because I look up to you as a media practitioner as well. So I just want to say I appreciate that. All the calls, all the messages, you say, oh, this, that. That's good. Tweak this. So you know what I mean. I really appreciate that, and I continue to really love the friendship that we have and continue to have over the years.
But as a joke, in wrapping up there, I never knew that you had the title of a magistrate. No, but the only thing you don't do, you don't sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, Junior.
That's right.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Kim.
Looking forward to seeing
you.
you.
Guys' advice.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right.
Bye
Great.
bye.
Thanks.
Okay. My good old friend, Junior George. He's very very good at what he does. And really, it's nice speaking to him all the time, commenting.
So what's this thing about him being a magistrate?
Sometimes what he does. Before, let me ask the callers to hold a second there. What he does when there's things happening, he's the type of person who's able to get into and speak to those. If there's a problem, controversy, or something, whatever, he gets in there. And the beauty about it is that he gets them to speak.
Okay.
And he would get both sides of the story too.
Okay.
I see many times, you'd have A and B.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is nice. It's good for dialogue, good for it's entertainment as well too. And it's good to hear sometimes how people think and why they did what they did. And sometimes you hear in one side of the story, but there's a second side. And then we always say there's a true side. And he does that very, very well.
Okay.
I don't know how he does that. And the time, he spends so much time in media. Boy, I don't know how he does it. I mean, sometimes say, how do you do yours? I say, well, boy, mine is simple, but you have the bigger thing. Let me take a call quickly, okay? My good friend. 5FM caller, landline caller first. Come in.
Kim, one more question.
Yeah.
Kim, what is the status of the Dolly C? Is it still stuck? Is it under repairs? When will it get back on the water?
Well, as far as I know, it's still in the same spot where it was, where it ran aground. And I've been hearing unconfirmed reports anyway that it's not going to be coming back into service at all. But I mean, that's very disheartening, but I don't know. But it's still where it is.
Wow, that's a big blow for transportation.
It is. But in the grapevine too, I've been hearing that there are other Dolly C's, if I were to use that word, correctly, in the making. in the making. So we just might see a couple more ferries trying to see if they could fill that gap that is missing so badly.
You would need to come those events times of the year like regatta and
well,
so
not only regatta, but you see, our process now of building back. We need need those services.
Material.
We need for a lot of materials, for a lot of things coming in, not only materials, but equipment and everything like that. And then what has happened over the years since the service was introduced together with the Turtle Bay Express is that we're able to use the service as a drive on, drive off,
Yes.
You're going to Grenada, you could walk with a vehicle. When I say walk with a vehicle, you know what I mean, right? And things like that. And we are getting into that habit now of doing things ourselves in that particular way. We miss it.
Okay.
But
all right. Well, I just was curious about.
Yeah.
About anyone about it.
Yeah. Okay.
What's going to happen? All right. Thank you for the update.
No problem. Okay. Next caller. WhatsApp caller, come in. Thank you for waiting. Caller. Hello. Caller.
Hi.
Yes, you are now. Yes. Yes. Good.
I just here listening to Junior. I want to say hi to Junior. I want him to know I'm not in the carnival thing. I ain't play carnival, but I like to accept changes. When I hear him this year, amazing colors will be on the sea. and the water. That will be so much that you stay on the show and view. I wish it's a that night. I'll go in the back by Andalde and look at these different colors. It will be great, Junior. That's when young people look for changes. I accept that, and I like to hear the change of your banner where it will be this year. That's the way to go. That will be amazing colors to look at.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
It's a good idea. I don't know, if you've been following it, but it's a great idea that it's coming up with, to have amazing colors, on the sea.
Okay.
In the carnival season.
Okay.
That's going to be exciting because you see, we never experienced anything like that of the nature yet.
Different. Yeah, it's different.
And it's different. Yeah. So when you have people like Junior coming to Grenada, well, he's Grenadian anyway.
Yeah.
But coming to make that kind of contribution, this is the kind of thing that we need. It's good for entertainment as well too, and it's going to be a spectacular.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that, and knowing him too. Caracol is his home,
I know.
The minute he gets a chance to come to Caracol, he's here, even though it's for an hour. That's it.
Yeah, that's
so when you have people like that, interested in developing and performing, doing things for the country, we applaud that.
No, that's good.
Yeah, because he came to Caracol years ago with his mass, and every time he comes here, and the thing about it is that, as we discuss everything, he's not doing it for money because there's no money to be made.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of
the love of it.
And the country, the culture. He wants to see the development take place, and give people something to do.
Yep.
And I said to him many times, boy, this thing gonna go broken. Anyway, let me try to take another call quickly. Vibes FM, what's up, caller? What's up, caller coming? What's the caller coming?
Yes. Good afternoon, and thank you for taking my call again. I just thought I should share with you. We almost lost Miss Glenda yesterday. Now, Kim, we have to be watching out for surprises, for unexpected things, because Grenada, remember again, well, you may say I'm boring now with that, but Grenada was developed since 16 something. So all the forts were built by the French, and they're now old. So yesterday, you heard about what happened yesterday in Grenada? Day before yesterday?
You
heard about...
Go ahead, tell me. So many things happened.
The steps to lead up to the hospital.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Glenda was right there on the scene. She gave us a story live.
Yeah. Oh, she called earlier on.
Yes, she called. Yeah,
I missed that. Yes, I missed that. But I'm saying we have to watch it for all these unexpected things. We keep waiting for things to happen, and then we just at the foot of the steps, they brought the Chinese to what you call that, lace up with the mesh.
Yeah.
The same stones and so. So why couldn't they be proactive and do it by the step? No. We have to wait until it fall, because when they did it down at the bottom there, kind of below the press on. Okay, if you're coming out of the tunnel, it's on the right side.
Right.
They really brace down that wall with mesh, with a strong mesh suitable for that.
Right.
Yes. So because big stones started to roll down in the road. So I'm saying, look at going up the step now, the same way. They could have just do it. No, that's what we need to do now that we are preparing. Look around and see where we can be proactive.
Right.
Proactive.
Right.
Yes. And see, think, that big stone up on top of that hill there, boy, I ain't trust that big stone. Because real strange things, I mean, that container that flew in the wind in Caracol, I mean, come on. Come on.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible now.
Anything is possible. So what we can do, we must try. But I would just want to ask you all just this last question. How did you feel when the Hurricane Hunter put out that video showing Caracol, showing a lot of big buildings and said that in a few hours, all these will be no more? How did you feel? I'm going to listen on the radio. If you can remember that and share your feelings, because when I saw it in Grenada, I was like, I couldn't speak. I started to tremble. I said, "Oh my God," but I'm far away. I'm in Grenada.
Right.
So I can't just imagine. How did you feel in Carriacou? Can you share it? I will listen on the radio.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Koi, how did you feel? I tell you, you know, when I saw pictures, and I saw, you know, what is possible can take place, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't take it on as much, you know, because, you know, predictions don't have to come true. That's the whole idea, you know. But then when it really happened, and then you saw the devastation, then reality struck, and you realize, you know, anything is possible, and what you were seeing there, you know, because if you take up what you've seen before, you could go into a state of panic, you know, to realizing, you know, that, you know, this could be the end of it all. So you're still on the positive side and saying, no big deal. Oh, come on, you know, yes, possible, but predictions and things like that. But when reality strikes and it hits you, then you realize, it's a different situation, eh? And I tell you, man, you know, this burial there still is going to be in the minds of this generation for a very, very long time.
And the next one too.
And the next one too, yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that has like has got an iron stamp on our minds and our consciences that, boy, this thing has happened, and I was there. Some people would say cannot say that I was there because the past, you know. But the idea is that, boy,
But I'll tell you something very interesting. Everybody you spoke to, or you speak to, wherever you meet them, about burial, they have a story. Each one of us have a story, and the stories are all different stories. And it's interesting sometimes to listen to one's experience, and then you could maybe associate it with yours, or maybe what you might have heard before. And that is just something else. Each one of us could write a book on that. I could tell it for sure. You know, Vibes FM, let me take a call. Vibes FM, caller, come in. Caller?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes.
Yeah, talking about preparation and also counseling. Some other past in the 80s, I wonder about 84. I can't remember which, but some other past.
Yeah.
It was 40 miles an hour wind. And when I was working at the Anadil water treatment plant, I was doing the midnight to 8 shift in the morning. And I couldn't control the high turbidity in the water because it was so muddy that the chemicals couldn't even keep the water clean. So I had to shut down the plant as I was advised to. When they break, and I see outside what we call drains turn like ravines. And ravine was competing with the rivers. And I had to walk to go down to River Road. Okay? What was 84? I think that was 1996, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I was living in River Road at the time, 1989. No, I live in the road in 89. So somewhere around the Atta Pass. Watch. When I reach way in Constantine and I see the amount of rocks down in the road, and all going down Monday, big landslide, cross the road, go down in the river on the other side, and that was just a storm. People in Grenada who saw these things, they start to get jittery whenever rain alone start to fall. And when Ivan came, it made matters worse for a lot of people. That even after Ivan, people didn't want to hear wind blow at all.
Just like now.
Because it bringing back. How could you counsel people so? You have to be a genius to counsel people like that, you know.
Yeah.
A little wind blow and the branches start to shake. They want anything to fall on the house and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And 10 months later, what do we get? We will get Emily.
Emily right behind it, yes.
Worse yet. So we used to those kind of weather, but we cannot get accustomed to it. And doesn't matter how much counsel we get, we cannot get accustomed to it. Just before I go, I need to say something about Mr. Rolo. I think Mr. Rolo for a big man, it was disrespectful. I can't remember whose program shut him down. I can't remember if it's Ken Jones who shut him down from his program, but he was shut down from one of the top shows in Grenada because of his behavior. Look, you have to respect authorities. If this is the title of the authority, you respect that. There's no so-called Governor General. Okay, we learn as children to call the seniors Mr. and Miss, right? You think it is fair to say so-called Mr. Kim? No. You call him Mr.
Yeah.
By the Constitution, which is the highest body in the land, we have a Governor General. Even if you not agree with it, but show respect. Show respect. And I will use that term for the first time on the radio. He's so bloody disrespectful for a big old man. He must want to do better than that. Whenever you open your mouth on the radio to speak, the children in the country hearing you, and you want to lead, what could you tell them children are behaving like that? People around the world tune into whichever station in Grenada, and they're going to hear this kind of, what you want to say about us? They must learn to respect authorities. If he was made the Governor General, would he have said no? No, he'd have accepted. My good friend Chester, he had problem with the wig. Yeah?
Yeah.
And when he joined NMP and they won the election and he had to wear the wig in Parliament as Speaker of the House, he didn't refuse it. These guys are men.
Okay.
They don't stop growing up in body, grow up in mind.
Yeah, okay.
And be careful what you're saying with your mouth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. It's good people to share their opinions, eh? Give them a chance to do so. Yeah, that's what Speak Out is all about, you know. We could share our opinions, you know, and in a respectable way too. You know, it's important for us not to, you know, be disrespectful, whenever we share opinions. But anyway, as the caller mentioned earlier on there too, whenever the wind blow, people think about Ivan in Grenada. When the wind blow in Carrigal, you think about Beryl. So it means Ivan and Beryl have something in common.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ivan and Beryl.
I would still say plenty counseling.
Yeah.
But I think the counseling is not so much needed during, or even right now. The counseling needed is to put in the head in the system preparation. But I think the counseling that is necessary, definitely necessary, is after.
But you need before and after.
Yeah. What I'm saying, the counseling we need now is to get into our head the system, get in our system that we must be prepared, but be ready. That's the counseling. For before.
Ongoing. It's an ongoing.
But and then after we have to be able to bring them back to normality, because people.
It's an ongoing. It's
an ongoing thing.
It has to be an ongoing thing. I mean, I'm saying that so that we get accustomed to the idea that we need counseling, or as I said, to be counseled, and it's something that we should get comfortable with the idea of counseling, because I think in a lot of cases people are not comfortable with going to a counselor in the first place.
That has been the problem. It's going to the counselor and to realizing, you know, that whatever you're saying to them may not be private at the end, you know, of the discussion.
It could be fair though. It could be, you know, something where is it you sort of make up your mind why you don't want to do something, and you come up with an excuse. So you will say, well, yeah, if I go and talk to Milton. Yeah. Milton will go and tell Kim what say. So you decide you're angry.
Next thing Kim put on the radio. Vibes FM caller. What's up, caller? Come in.
Good afternoon, Vibes.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I just want to add my voice and say I'd like to condemn the rise in the abuse of our homeless or people who appear to be homeless on the streets. We have been having a few of them in Grenville areas, and only recently, maybe about 2 got chopped. These people have family, they have loved ones, and in a lot of cases, they serve a lot of purpose because they do help people. It's only unfortunate that they're probably on the drug situation, and abusing them is no way to, do what you do to them. We need to stop. And it doesn't, augurs well for our community and our country. And I want to say too that I believe that some of our journalists or podcast people need to have a little more respect, a little more discipline. This sudden, name calling and, accusation, and you don't have your facts is not good. And I mean, we're not setting good examples for the children. When you have people like Jenny saying what she's saying about the honorable minister, it's not because, they're not suing. But I think, they need to stop. They need to stop it. And it adds a level of disrespect for our community. We don't have respect for anybody anymore. And we need to stop. Because in a lot of cases, we wouldn't like it happen to our family. We wouldn't like it to happen to us. And they just need to stop and be more professional in their duties. Have a good weekend. I thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much.
Okay, as caller just mentioned it, but something that struck my mind, as the caller was just speaking, in that especially in places like Grenada, most of the journalists that I know, they're not trained, in the proper way of what journalism is all about and how to conduct themselves. And this is why we get a lot of criticism sometimes, and the behavior pattern sometimes is not, not professional.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say there's this journalist I listen to, and the thing he always say, if you want to find out something, you go back. Who, what, why, who, what, where, why.
You mean the 5 W's and the H?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's from basics. That's what you have to answer in a report.
Yeah.
Who, where, why, what, and then how. So it's referred to as the 5 W's and an H. So when you start talking about reporting, you have to answer those questions. And if the report you put in now does not answer who, it's incomplete. If it doesn't say when, so basically, so we have to be able to learn these things and put them in practice. Professionalism.
But how many of them, go through the process of proper training? Is the question that you need to answer.
Should be able to tell
well,
us.
there are workshops here and so on, and there are some there also we have Kaimak, that's in Jamaica, where and where I know a number of our journalists on Ireland here have gone there, and it's at the university level. Okay. Yes. And apart from that, there are workshops and things that happen to train, and even some organizations have in-house training. Because of course, if you when you train your reporters, you are the one that will benefit because they go and do it right and come back. So.
But do you is there some kind of accreditation that you can call yourself a journalist? So like your
Well, we don't have any accreditation per se. Yeah.
So what is that?
I forgot to also mention that there's a training program at TAMCC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is, tomorrow can I get up and say that I was a journalist?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could say it. I'm ready to answer you right away.
You could say it, but it's not practical. It wouldn't be practical because can you satisfy? I'm saying,
is there a system that qualifies you that checks you out to say that you are qualified?
Well, based on your reporting.
Vibes FM. Lana Color coming.
Good afternoon,
sir. Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the guys. Good afternoon, Mr. Coy and the Honorable Kim.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I've been listening a lot of the callers. Something I want to ask you. I have listened Kem this morning with some clip last night on Jenny.
Yeah.
But the question I want to ask, who do Jenny support? She's my very good friend. We move well. But there's a lot of things she's saying, like, I'm not sure where she get the facts. You understand?
Well,
but if you want to build a country, you're not an NMP, you're not an NDC. So where do you stand? And what is your objective of trying to destabilize the government or destabilize a minister? That's why I'm a bit puzzled.
Well, I'm not puzzled because some people, just basically mischief, and they think sometimes when they make the statements and they do these crazy things, that they get themselves very popular. And I believe when I use the word popular, it might apply in this case because nobody knew of her before, and now people hearing about her. So I'm not interested in continuing a conversation of the nature.
I understand what you're saying because when you continue the conversation, they get more popular.
Yeah,
but that's just sure that question because I find if you're trying to build a country, guys, that which side you're on. If you're a neutral.
But these people they're not patriotic, caller. They're not patriotic. That's the bottom line.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, not vote for any party, but at the same time, for example, if somebody is doing wrong, when I used to be a staunch NNP, right, and they were doing things wrong, I say do things wrong. When NDC do something wrong, I just tell them, look, I do not support you all, but we are friends. But if you do something wrong, I'll come out and tell you straight, point blank, that is wrong. You understand?
Yeah.
And they listen. They listen to me.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
But when you just come and criticize and say, can you say it is alleged or probably that? I mean, come on, you have to come with your facts.
Uh-huh.
One more thing I want to tell you, quick.
Yeah.
Because of the incident yesterday, I didn't know about the incident. I didn't know what happened. But when you're coming up the steps, I know a lot of people listen to this station worldwide. There is a big something like a hole. It looks like a cistern, a small septic tank or something. So it's open, Kim.
Where?
When you come up the steps to the hospital, you come from the tunnel like you come from the car park.
Yeah.
You come from the tunnel, you're going up to the hospital itself.
Right.
About a few steps coming up, they said something hard to go up and take my time and I go up there. When I look on the right hand side going up, there is a hole. Like if it was a septic tank, they build there or something, a little system. It's open.
Yeah?
It's open, yes. And some little children, sometimes you go up with your kids and so on, you go in the hospital with them, and they might just slip on from your hand and just roll and they might go down inside there.
Okay. That should be addressed right away.
So that's how to address ASP.
Yeah.
As soon as possible because I see the whole day and I had to bring it to Kem and it just slipped me. But now I remember and I listen to the program religiously. So I said, let me just throw it out to you because I know a lot of people listening, even the ministers, everybody listen to the program.
Right, yeah.
So they need to look into that. When you're going up the step on the right hand side, there's someone got like a septic tank and if there's a septic tank or a tank, because I know this old colonial thing.
Yeah.
It will be there for ages.
Yeah.
And as you rightly say, something have to happen for the authority to really pick up.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not criticizing anybody, but then just look into it.
Okay, Colin.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, guys.
Okay, take care.
Okay, take care.
Nice hearing you. Okay. Kai, I want to ask you a question. As you mentioned, the training that takes place in Jamaica,
Kayamak.
And
yes,
and even in Grenada, maybe there might be something. But these so-called journalists, do you think, and I'm asking your opinion, do you think that they practice what they learn? What they were taught?
Yes. Yes. I think they practice what they learn. So what they didn't learn, they can practice it.
Good answer, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could only...
Did they practice what they were taught?
Well, the thing is, I would think they want to advance themselves, having had that training experience. And I think sometimes, most times, I would say that there's an understanding about the role of journalists. Some people just have it wrong, but there's a basic understanding of the roles and functions of a journalist, to educate, to inform, and so on, and entertain. And I think once they operate within the framework of the 5 W's and the H, let's say, I think, I would say it's not perfect, but I believe that it can be improved with some seriousness,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Vibes FM, WhatsApp caller coming.
Thank you again. Thank you again for the time. Thank you again.
Yes, my brother.
I must say, it has been a very interesting morning and afternoon period, and I have enjoyed it. And I like to gist about things that was happening and doing, not too much of a political wrangling and whatnot. In closing, however, I'd like to say, there are two chapters, the last days. We are definitely in the last days, as you can see that. There are two books here, Peter, 2 Peter, and chapter 2. And I won't go through reading it, but I just started, But there arose false prophets also among the people, as among you, privately, being in destructive essays. So you can continue to read that and see what it says, and then we could go to Isaiah 3, and we can construe the whole of Isaiah 3 as well, and that could give us something better so that we can change as a people, because we claim that we are Christians, but we don't actually live. I'm kind of surprised sometimes on a Sunday morning, when I see women, well, even men, I mean, the pants under the bottom, women, you can literally see through. I mean, it consumes me, it bothers me, This is not about Christianity. So, talks about the good apparel, and we should probably try to do this. Talks about righteousness and love and peace and whatnot. And I think that's where it should be headed. So, I don't like the idea of condemning criticizing. I think Mr. Rolo is quite correct, because there's a part of the Bible that speaks of the so-called, and then Mr. Rolo is quite correct because the Constitution is yet to be whatever in Parliament. It is yet to be ratified.
Yeah.
So that, in its true sense, I mean, we boasting about 51 years of independence, but what? I mean, we are not truly independent, and etc. So I think a lot of things have to change, and I believe the past government made 2 attempts to rectify part of the Constitution, if not all, but I think that this present government shouldn't have within their 5 years inside there, they shouldn't have done it. I think that they should start up seriously and get going. Time for us to hold people accountable by their words. You know what I'm saying? I love to hear the Prime Minister say retroactive justice.
Yeah.
And imagine 40-something years, and the state owes me because of whatever problem. Derek Knight's QC, that was the first lawyer that in the police. And many others follow suit. Lawyers, it worries me. Some people are according to the part of the country where they might be liars. I am kind of worried about it. But, these councils, and whatnot, etc. They need to do a lot. They need to do a lot better than they're actually doing for us, in this country. We need to change constitution, put a new constitution, and get it good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Jay. Okay. Now, as you're getting ready to wrap up, gentlemen, there's a list I have here that I just want to go over to let people have an idea of preparation and supplies that they would need in case of a natural disaster, especially hurricanes, not so much earthquakes, but the hurricanes in particular. And at the top of the list, I have water. Then you have food. Then the third one is batteries, so you could power up your radios or flashlights or whatever. And you should have a radio available. Then flashlights. You should have extra batteries to make sure that you could keep going. First aid kit, moist towelettes, it's very good. You should have a whistle. Medications, a list of list of medications, that you normally might need. Medicine, medications, and important documents. You should have a lot of garbage bags and plastic tiles to make sure that you when you put them in the bags, you could put the tiles properly. Face mask, filter mask. Local maps you should have too, and your pet should be catered for too as well. Little pet food, whatever they might need, and you need, of course, things like baby supplies in some instances, and some games. We sometimes, don't realize you could play a little games,
Domino,
whatever it is,
cards,
anything like that,
Ludo,
whatever,
Lindo, whatever it is.
all of that, And this is what your plan should look like, in case when you're preparing. So this way, if anything does really happen, you have your personal plan in place and whatever you might need, so you could be able to rally out whatever the period is.
We don't know how long that period is going to be, so we have to be how adequate.
And if you're going to be going to a shelter, know where your shelter is located.
Yeah,
as well too, because maybe you're where you are. You don't trust it.
There are some concerns I've been hearing and reading in terms of the shelters, the distance for some people. But I think we have to go past that. That is what it is at present, and we have to work with it. So we have to know that the shelters here in Kayaku, Bogos Community Center. Yes, we have to know there, and those of us who live around the area have to know how to get there. Before the time, we also have the Leicester primary school, Lady of the Rosary. We also have to know that one of the schools is the Mount Pleasant Government School, the Hillsborough Secondary School, and of course, as it was noted earlier on, a private house that's very close to the Mount Pleasant Government School is also approved as a shelter, and of course, and the lone one is in Pitimatnik. So we need to know and put ourselves in the position to say, well, if that happens, where's the nearest place I can get to? And not only these approved shelters we should just pay attention to, but of course we ourselves should be able to say, I know my neighbor house is very strong. Neighbor or somebody in the village, I can rely on that. So you have to know these things before. You can be running helter and skelter and see how far you could reach.
Yeah.
But so knowing these things now is important. Yeah.
And one thing I misthought, which I should go back on it there too, in that you should have a family plan.
Certainly.
A family plan is important. Where you're going to communicate depends on the size of the family, and you know how to reach one another. And you might be here and I might be there. So you that's already been planned out.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry too much about where whoever is, where they are with a family plan.
Yeah,
Because sometimes
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
may not be able to go in the same location, but it might be multiple locations. So we should all know, well, you two guys going here, we're going to go there, this is going to take place.
Yeah.
And this way we're able to communicate and know each and everybody is pretty much secure where they are and know where to find them.
Precisely.
Yeah. That's
knowing is the operative word here. Knowing. We have to know what to do, when to do it, and as part of the preparation. And don't just be running helter-skelter and say, and throw our hands in the air and say, oh God, I did.
All right, let me preparation. Your final words on preparation, as we've been talking about that today.
Well, I would say just take everything seriously. Again, make sure you secure your documents. The reason I keep saying documents is sometimes those are critical things that you may need after.
Immediately after too.
Yeah, immediately after. So ensure that you secure your documentation and have adequate supplies of water, tin stuff. I think food for about 3 days, roughly food for about 3
as much as
you can.
Well, as much as you can.
If you could open a market all the better.
But yeah, have an adequate supply of food and look after everyone. Look after each
especially
one,
the seniors,
Yeah.
Seniors and the very, very, very young who cannot put on themselves.
Yeah, call your final words, yeah.
My final words is 3 words, and it's the same word. Prepare, prepare, prepare. That's where we have to go. That's how we have to be in this time as we face this hurricane season. Already with us. So let's not hesitate. Let's do what we need to do and prepare, prepare, prepare.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and not the views of this radio station.
And that will just wrap up our program for today, right here on Vibes FM. We want to thank you, our listeners, those of you on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you were, on radio, calling in and being part of the exercise. We appreciate your contribution. So until next time, I'm your humble servant, yours truly, Kim the King. Hoping that you take everything seriously as we go into the hurricane season. And remember, our watchword or advice to you is prepare.